So I'm expecting them to be performing well here.
Nice shot.
Well, we have to, of course, just keep our eyes on JDG for a number of reasons, because of the fact that we're looking at their potential, but they were quiet yesterday. They were a team who really kind of took the headlines when it came to the Americas. A lot of focus on Naughty on his IGLing journey. The new addition, of course, of floating a breakthrough superstar in the Americas. But yesterday, it just seemed like something was missing in those big moments.
Yeah, and I think they can look at the groups, they look at the rotations they had. They were certainly influenced by other teams kind of getting in their way. Maybe they were a little bit too slow. Maybe they weren't used to what the pace was going to be on said rotations, because there was a lot of zone-heavy teams that were beating them to the punch. So today, maybe they'll have to be a little bit quicker with their approach, or decide to play with a slightly different style, depending on what legends have been back. Excited
to watch these boys play. Elite Esports, I did mention them, and some really, really strong moments from them. We saw some crazy Kraber shots being hit. We saw them some really big clutch moments from them, as we did see from Gaming Gladiators as well. These gentlemen were at the top of the leaderboards as well, extremely strong in their performance. And I think EMEA in general, as we've seen in previous tournaments, I will say, looking good in the group stages.
Yeah, Gaming Gladiators were 12th in the POI draft, so they've gone for Galleria. They've been able to move over, so World's Edge is not necessarily going to be their priority. That being said, GG are a team that it doesn't really matter what POI they play from, they always find good routing to that final zone, and they're happy to take those fights and those engagements if they're presented as well.
Of course, we have world champions in this lobby. We have Sentinels, we have BK Gaming as well, the defending champions. It really is just an array of teams who really can perform at the highest level. A big shout as well to Zeddy Esports. We did mention them. Jelly top fragging in the group yesterday that they were involved in, so excited to see if he can continue that kind of pace.
There's going to be a lot of eyes on Alliance. You'd mentioned it earlier, NIP and Alliance, two of the teams that have been underperforming, so we'll have to see whether we can see them step up here in this series.
Well, it's time to get underway here, everybody. A and C in the lobby, ready to go, ready to drop here on World's Edge. Game number 1 is live. The teams and the players are dropping from that dropship.
And we've already seen from previous series, some of these early fights can really influence your confidence going into the rest of the series. A bad dud game 1, and suddenly you start to panic a little bit as you go into the rest. A big game 1 can make a massive difference in your confidence.
Certainly can indeed, and we'll see the zone pretty soon as well. Just looking through the compositions, a lot of Seer I'm seeing in this game 1, as well as some Caustic. Of course, no surprise to see a lot of Crypto, as we always expect in game number 1. I'm going to start off by looking at the team.
Vamos acompanhar o Elite, hein, mano. Elite que se destacou pra caraca ontem, mano.
Backing him up in those big moments. They're dropping over a thermal station, and with where this zone is going down to the south, they're going to have
Elite ontem jogou demais,
velho.
Garantiu o último round e o primeiro lugar.
But it's Gaming Gladiators who are going to be the biggest winners of this initial zone pool.
Foram
and
gênios,
they do have a ring console, so they are going to know where it's going to be heading at the same time. Sentinels also a team who loves to play zone. They can move very quickly from Dome. You can already see they've dropped an evac tower to kind of scout around and move fast, but expect Nemesis, NIP also to be joining them pretty far south as well.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a little bit of a race going on for that most southern building, actually, at launch site. You're looking at Gaming Gladiators and Sentinels kind of both just jockeying on the map overhead at the moment to see if they could beat each other to the punch. Of course, GG having a little bit more room in the POI and space to loot, so they've got to take a little bit longer to get their belongings together, and that might have given the opportunity for Sentinels to move, but it looks like Sentinels instead have opted for that small kind of shell outside of the POI, and GG, as you can see on your screens right now, have commanded that most southern building.
This is a difficult game to play, though, for Gaming Gladiators, because as you can see, they're all going to be on white armors. They are all going to be fairly poorly looted at this point, and they have to sit here for the remainder of the game. And unless anyone comes to them, they need to be trying to apply pressure with the weapons they've been able to gather in the early stages from distance to build up those evos, because they're not going to be able to hit any harvesters.
Well, the one good thing for them is they can, using Alter, just scupper away a couple of those attachments from death boxes, switch out a few weapons should they need to once the teams start falling around them. Having that high ground, of course, on that building, the reason that teams are racing there, just great LOS. The amount of damage you can do without really revealing yourself, so important. As we see Nemesis on our screens right now, who certainly were quiet yesterday.
They were. They had their ups and downs. I think that I have a lot of expectations on Nemesis. I always will, just whether it's a nostalgic feeling for Albrelelli or just how impressive a player Skittlecakes is alongside the new boy of Sacred. Nemesis have the recipe to be a good team, but we haven't necessarily seen it all kind of blend together. But they've done enough to get this far. If they start to get cooking, can they be a team to really put a statement on this series?
Speaking of cooking,
pronto, postei tudo aqui, velho.
You can see Fuse in game 1 here for Nemesis, so certainly something that's been cooking up in the background for them. A couple of knuckle clusters going in towards RC, who you can see here just sat in the pouch. thinking about maybe taking a little bit of a different route, seeing that Nemesis have managed to control that space above them. Looking at other teams around at the moment, quite a lot of teams actually moving through Monument and Fragment at the moment. You've got AG Global, VK Gaming, Zeddy Esports also approaching, but a fight down a tree at the moment is one that we're taking a look at here.
Already one knock as well. And it's whether you actually want to push up and take advantage of said knock, but at the same time, they're a little bit concerned about any other third parties in the area, so it looks like they're just going to hunker down for now. There are several teams around Tree, it would seem. But it looks like Wirotv have been able to at least get one player away after that initial knock as well, because PXX were looking over it.
You can hear the whirring of the drones above the crypto players. Elite Esports were probably just thinking about third-partying this initially. See Light just playing a little bit further away from the rest of his team on the altar. Drone has been destroyed, though, by the sounds of it. So they're not going to be able to scout the skies quite as they were a few moments ago. But some of the shots that this young man was hitting yesterday, Dan, very, very impressive highlight reel plays.
I think Elite are going to be playing with a lot of confidence, and we saw it in Split 1. We knew they were capable of it. The always question, does it translate into LAN as well? Because how many times have we seen EMEA teams dominate throughout their region, then get to LAN and just fall off a little bit, especially in the early days? It looks like they are in a position right now where they can actually capitalize on the damage that's already been done by other teams. And Wirotv, it's just a matter of survival. Breach charges coming left, right, and center, and finally, you get the final one.
Yeah, the splash damage hurt. Wirotv Club will be eliminated first in the lobby here. They won't survive the tribulations of Tree. And I want to go back to your point that you were making about EMEA teams. It's not unfamiliar for EMEA to start on the world stage well, but they just fall away, it feels, when the pressure starts to ramp up a little bit towards the latter stages of the tournament. My eyes is on that. If these EMEA teams continue to play well, will they be able to keep that level of performance a little bit later in the tournament?
Well, a team that did play well yesterday, RRQ, and they did fall away in their last couple of games, but they had set such a lead over the rest of the lobby. They were able to still finish in second place, and with Easy Flash being the top fragger from that lobby, I'm sure that he is going to be feeling full of himself as well coming into this one. But right now, it's a comfortable position they hold over towards the dome side. The question is, where do you actually try and locate yourself? Do you just take as much area as possible here, or can you find somewhere a little bit more solidified to call home?
They're just playing to stop the wrap from stacks and then walk their way in towards this zone. If it does pull out towards the lava, they'll be in a really, really good spot. This is interesting to look at, though, over at Harvester. This is completely isolated from the rest of the lobby, and it's Zeta Division, the team who went back-to-back, jumped from 20th to 6th in just 2 games yesterday. Well, they've got GK Esports in front of them. Some nice shots coming out from Mike there. Will allow his teammate to hit that beacon. The survey beacon will give them the information of where the teams around them will be.
Entirely isolated fight, both teams having a similar path because they're just walking through to hit Evo Harvesters on their way down. And as you said, survey beacons, ring consoles, whatever they can find to get a little bit more on that Evo charge. Ring pull will give us a little bit more information, not too much information than we already knew. It's going to continue to head down south. I guess the only thing is it is going to be slightly more towards launch site as we would expect. So those who are on that eastern side of Dome are going to have that journey through. And for a team like RRQ, for example, you're going to have to get through 2 squads before you can even get into zone.
Yeah, Sentinels, I kind of like the position they took, actually. That kind of eggshell, broken eggshell that is kind of outside of Dome down to that southern side. It's isolated,
yeah,
as far as the rest of the lobby is concerned. You can play that for quite some time without really revealing yourself to the rest of the lobby. Launch site's going to get busy because there's multiple rooms that can be played, multiple levels of elevation that can be played. The Sentinels separating themselves from the lobby here and will be safe for quite some time. So if they can hold that eastern side with RRQ, with Relove there, they're going to be in a really good spot here.
Well, GK and Zeta looks like they are actually very much involved in an engagement now. We've already got 1 knock.
Quem que tá lá no fundo, velho?
Dropped, and now he wants more. Flying forward, trying to stop the drag potentially from an altar play. It's going to be Zeta who get the first kill. Just looking elsewhere, you can see the GK have actually hit the Void Nexus to get out of there, so they're going to have to find a way to get their teammate back into the game here. There is a crafter over at Tree, which they're heading towards at the moment. As a duo, always a little bit risky to take those extra few seconds on your rotate to get your teammate back in.
We saw how busy Tree was earlier, so if you are able to get back up, you know full well there's going to be a lot on that western side as we do check in with Alliance after their disappointing performance yesterday. But if we know anything about Alliance, they can always bounce back. And I think that's what, kind of the differing points we were making, Mark. You were talking about how some teams from EMEA, they can perform very well and then fall off later, but then we also get the slower starts from some of the bigger teams at times, and Alliance have fallen victim to that here. But again, they always seem to find a way, and you almost feel that expectation that they will. There's no doubt in my mind Alliance are going to get to that last final lobby, which is kind of crazy.
Long way to go until they get there, though, and if they perform like they did yesterday, the road is going to be extremely long.
Nossa, mano, que azar. Que azar da... Nossa, que azar da GK, mano.
Engagements at the moment, they are getting the better of GK, and they knew that they were going to have to head to Treat to Reds. Therefore, just mirrored their rotation, looking for those extra kills, and they found one of them.
Have Zeta bitten off more they can chew, though, because actually Trinity are now going to be here. Zeta came looking for GK. GK kind of used the dropship as a little bit of a diversion, and it has brought in the attention of Trinity.
Nossa,
it's going to be a
da
straight
GK,
3v3 between the two teams.
GK, two of them managed to get away at, even after the knock came in, and they got that res. And for Alliance, it's not looking good again. A little bit of a scratch of the chin coming in from Hackis. As Unlucky has to go back through the Void Nexus.
Que porra é essa, mano?
Zeddy Esports. And the man with the most aura in the ALGS picks up
Os caras tão de mecha, velho.
Seems to have happened a few too many times so far for Alliance, where one player has to retreat and start to res. As Alliance fans not looking too happy about their performance right now, but they are still alive. That's what matters, and we'll see if they can get back to a full 3 a little bit later on.
Well, Trinity versus Zeta continues here. Igarashi taking a little bit of damage, having to jump through a little portal to get back to Rohai's teammates there and find a little bit of at least cover and safety in the hands of his teammates. Scans now coming in. Bowls will be useless for a few seconds on the caustic, and using that opportunity to push, knowing those abilities will not be able to be used. It's Yuka who gets the first knock.
You have to take advantage of it. If you get that hit, if you're on that seer, you have to call that to the rest of the team. They're going to see the scan. It negates that legend so easily and comfortably, and now it's just a matter of playing cleanup crew.
Rohai down as well. Trinity with just one player alive. Managed to scar
Nossa, mano, a Zeta vai amassar esse jogo,
fighting right now. They are looking ready for any challenge that
Já
approaches
era,
them. However, they do have a long way to go still towards the zone. A lot of busyness happening on
Light
that
vai ter que
eastern
jogar, hein,
side
pra ganhar essa
where the
Zeta,
zone
mano.
is going to be pulling. As we head back over to Elite Esports, they are safe inside of the next zone, as Trinity will
Ixi,
be eliminated next.
foi eliminado. Acabou pra
It's
Trinity.
going to be a similar story for Zeta Division, though. Are they going to try and approach that western side of launch site? We spoke about it in the previous series. It's such a difficult task to try
a
and
Zeta
take
tá
it, to try and
presa
go
ali,
up on
mano.
top.
E a Elite sabe disso.
Elsewhere, you've got the likes of Gaming Gladiators still holding their position as they had from the start. They've been joined by JD Gaming. By
Alliance
things.
voltou.
Alliance also a backup to at least a 2, from what I can see. Make it 3. Hackis also on his feet.
Alliance voltou, mas já tá morrendo já, velho.
Job 2 is being able to stabilize a little bit.
Long way to go for them as well, with just 20 seconds to go. At least Unlucky has done what he needed to do by getting his team back in. JD Gaming. The worrying start continues here as they fall out of the lobby a little bit early as well. GG picked them up as RRQ will follow as well. A lot of teams starting to fall and rotate.
Nossa, RRQ caiu,
viado. Gaming Gladiators, they took that position right from the start and they weren't built up. But they do win their first engagement they were tested with.
Well, Urice is on 1 HP. And now he's on 0. Aru for the last player alive in that fight. Will now go over to launch site once again because Zeta Division
Reject acabou de... Nossa,
Zeta Division
mano.
are on their backs. Elite.
Zeta e Reject, mano.
They are winning everything.
Zone closing now though, so all these teams are going to be forced in. The likes of Alliance, AG Global, all going to be up there.
Zed já foi mamar, PXX.
Teams dropping
Nossa,
because
tá
that zone
acabando
puts them
rápido
in
isso aqui.
uncomfortable positions.
Guys, vai acabar muito rápido isso aqui, pô.
As well. There's only one team actually inside where the next zone will be. That's going to be GG. Up on that high ground of the race against Sentinels. Winning that race has paid off for them. AG Global a long way away from where the next zone is going to be. They have to work their way all the way uphill here towards launch site, and they get hit by the caustic already.
Alliance have lost 1 on their way in. Make it 2. Make it all 3. Alliance go down as AG, they're going to check in elsewhere. GK Esports trying to approach, but they are being absolutely held out by AG at the moment, and unfortunately they're going to get pushed into the likes of TIE and For Fun.
Mano, a GK está cercada pela fã.
On our screens, we got VK Gaming looking at this, GK For Fun, TIE, all of these teams essentially being held out by Nemesis, who have that high ground in that
portal
position.
ruim,
We checked in with them a little bit earlier on in this game. Yanya taking some damage, has to back
Nossa,
down.
que
And
portal horrível,
the
velho.
Hemlock is dressed in gold at the moment. He has to get some shields back and make himself good looking too.
The two major winners of this zone pool, Gaming Gladiators and
Cara, não foi tão
Elite
ruim, na
Esports,
verdade.
they're going to have the most real estate to work with as now
Nemesis pegou a VK.
see weakness, they're like sharks in the water and smell the blood as VK Gaming will get taken down in 11th.
VK foi eliminada. Caralho, VK, mano, não tá se encontrando em nenhum game, velho.
Seconds until that zone closes and everybody has to find somewhere to call themselves safe. There's an L-Star on the pickup here for Sacred, and if you want it in anyone's hands, if you're a Nemesis fan, it's going to be his.
Nemesis in a pretty good position as well because they'll be able to capitalize on a lot of the damage being done right here, right
GK
now from
eliminado.
AG, as his GK will be finally taken down after their venture throughout the entire map to get back up. 9 squads now remain, and AG just continues to push.
AG probably thinking KP is the way forward here with this zone pulling so far away from them.
Que isso, mano?
RIP, they will fall in the lobby as
Caralho,
well as
velho,
continue
AG, mano.
to find kills. With that, we have 8 squads remaining in this lobby, and that creates a little bit of space here for AG to move in. Not a lot of teams alive, means they can at least walk up.
Olha, Banana em Pijamas tá vivo ainda, Fan tá vivo, Nemesis vivo, Elite tá vivo.
versus Nemesis. They're not going to know which. It's going to be a complete blind guess.
Q through here. Look at this cheeky little Q coming from Yanya, using every single inch of that void passage to get them into a safe position, and now for fun,
Os caras estão na adrenalina aqui já, mano.
Interestingly, MIP actually went through the other way, so now they'll be taking the fight against Nemesis. We're going to get 2 straight 3v3s in theory, but neither team feels comfortable to take it. AG just taking so much damage on the approach.
Ninjas in Pajamas just falling as well, but at least there's some points on the board for them. Sentinels also
Ai, ai, que merda, mano. Nossa, Sentinels eliminada, Global eliminada. Nossa, eles ficaram muito presos, guys.
DCG are also struggling at the moment, back against the wall, just trying to survive. As GG, they're just pressing out. They're making sure they take as much room as they can. Don't allow anyone to wrap behind them. And sadly, I think DCG are probably going to fall because of it.
For Fun Esports also gone. Zane, you can see the intensity in his face in the player cam as well. He wants
Olha o high ground que ele pegou,
with
velho.
this angle up on the high ground and with this Hemlock singing a tune, he
Tá
might
de
just
sacanagem,
out.
pô.
Have to be careful, there are other parties, there are other teams who can kind of get eyes on, one of them being Nemesis. But the 3 major teams I pointed out earlier in their really positive positions, they're all going to survive as DCG will be wiped. And that leaves us to Nemesis, Gaming Gladiators, and Elite Esports. Teams that are currently really looking across at where this zone's going to be going and where they can play from this point. GG, they took this position right at the start of the game. Elite have been working on this western side for quite some time. Nemesis certainly in the most difficult spot right now.
You want to talk about an aggro game? There's still 10 seconds left on zone 5. We're not even at the final zone, and there's only 3 squads alive in the lobby.
Elite tá aí, mano. Elite tá com toda a confiança de ontem.
They have the high ground that they can work down from. Nemesis have to move furthest. Elite are safe. So eyes on Nemesis. How do they make their way in towards this zone?
Yeah, which way did Nemesis go, right? That's going to dictate how this game goes. They have Alter to try and manipulate the map in their favor.
Mas o Game Guardians lá, mano.
Play some of these stairs. Try and use any of these objects to stay alive. You are getting absolutely ripped apart on your approach.
Nossa,
doing the
velho.
work here. Albrelelli and Skittlecakes feeling the wrath of the longbow in the hands of Henchman. Light's trying to make sure that he collapses onto this final player to see if they can clean up these final pieces and add the KP to their collection. GG in the meantime, by the way, looking to wrap behind Elite, and there might be an opportunity here for Sacred to get Skittlecakes back on his feet.
Game Gladiators tá invadindo a Elite.
By doing so, as you say, it opens things up for Nemesis to potentially gain a little bit more room, a little bit more space, because now Light's gone down, and GG have taken so much room here.
GG have taken the game by the looks of things.
Mano, GG ganhou.
GG move forward.
Caralho, velho.
It's a game 1 win for GG. The form of yesterday continues into day 2.
Caralho,
the zone
viado.
came their way and they were flawless with their approach. They knew exactly where they wanted to play. There was one key factor that happened off screen in the mid stages of that game where they won against JDG, the first team to really try and take that position away from them, and they won the 3v3 comfortably. And not only were they rewarded with, of course, their position, but also the extra Evo, the extra loot that JDG had been able to bring them over as well. So then when they do get into that final circle, they are far more
Partidinha da Game
looted and
Guardians,
suited.
hein? Game
GG
Gladiators.
looking the real deal here in the LGS Split 1 playoffs at EWC 2026.
and winning that race as well. Right at the start, you saw Sentinels. They were thinking
Jogadinha
about
da
taking
Game
that
Gladiators, hein,
southern
mano?
building away that GG played for the entirety of that game. Well, GG were aware of their timings. They knew how long it would take Sentinels to challenge it and make
Pegaram lá.
that they had presence down on that southern side of World's Edge at launch site. A very impressive game front to back. That is how you play zone.
Sometimes it can be difficult, sometimes the zone doesn't go your way, sometimes it can drift off even when you think it's going to come south, but they know that POI very well, and you pointed it out as well. There was still 10 seconds going into Zone 5, right? There was still so much space available in theory, but a very difficult zone to try and work your way in because of the choke points. That's why we only ended up with a few teams in the end.
Família da
As we
NiP
look
ali.
back at some of the replays, even though Nemesis, they did fall in 3rd place, they were able to capitalize on their position from teams rotating late. But in the end, they kind of got sandwiched between the two. But GG taking full advantage of Elite, focusing on Nemesis. And in the end, Nemesis actually took 2nd place, excuse me, because Elite went down that quickly.
Nossa, velho. Olha as posições que o cara pega, velho. Da Game Gladiators.
It was actually Nemesis, just Sacred playing behind those knockdowns.
Porra,
You can see the passion
mano.
from the GG fans as well, and the passion from the GG players. There's no better feeling than getting out of the gate hot here. A game 1 win for them. They are going to be feeling all kinds of good. This is the match results that we'll see in just a few seconds. However, we are missing some numbers.
Well, I can tell them to you. Game Gladiators, they finished in 1st place, 23 points with 11 kills.
Vixe, galera, estavam
Nemesis,
sem os
2nd
números,
place,
hein?
18 points, 9 kills. Elite Esports finished in 3rd with 13 points, 6 kills in the end. Some other teams, they were able to pick up a lot of kills, though. DCG got 11 kills in that game, which is kind of crazy as well. And then as you go further down for Fun, that finished in 5th place.
One thing to keep an eye on, though, we have to keep an
Olha
eye
a
on
pausinha
as the teams
deles, né?
kind of highlighted as having a shaky day yesterday. Alliance, we saw get into 12th, but barely a KP to go alongside that. We also saw Ninjas in Pajamas not having the best of performances, but at least got into the top 10 for some placement points, and you can see some contemplating.
Mano, tipo, o
thoughts,
Ninjas
shall
em
we say,
Pijamas,
going
eles
through the mind
passam, tá
of
ligado,
Ninjas
pro
in
playoffs.
Pajamas.
You're kind of wondering, when are we going to find that form? When are we going to get back up to where we were?
Mas eles
Where's the
precisam,
form of
mano,
glory that
ganhar,
we've seen
chegar
throughout
ali na
the
final,
entirety
pelo
of
menos,
the
né,
split?
da partida.
Ninjas in Pajamas, the #1 American team coming out of Split 1, coming into playoffs, and we have not seen that whatsoever. They have not looked even remotely close to the team we saw online. And it does start to get concerning the further we get into this series in particular, as now we have the numbers on our screen that we were mentioning earlier, just to solidify that for you guys watching here in Paris or watching from home. Some other teams that were able to pick up points or struggle. RRQ is another focus. They got 0 points. Remember, they finished 2nd yesterday in their series. JD Gaming unable to win that fight against GG. That's the crazy thing. Had JDG won that fight, we may have been talking about JDG winning this game. Some of those individual engagements that happen, a straight 3v3 fight, can really change the dynamic of the end.
Have a look at some of the highlights of the game, and as we see Ninjas in Pajamas being eliminated there, I kind of want to just talk about them a little bit more here and kind of give my thoughts on where they might be mentally, because it's very easy to be happy, go lucky, everything's fantastic when you're winning games, when you win in Pro League, when you win regional finals, you feel great. But we haven't really seen this Ninjas in Pajamas team challenged in this way so far, where they have been disappointing, where they haven't quite got the results. It's always been pretty good. I'm interested to see what Vane's saying to his team, what the coach is saying behind them as well, just
Mano,
to get that
Game
mentality
Gladiators
back. Game 2
acabou, mano,
completely
esse
changes
lobby,
for them.
velho.
Just remember, Ninjas in
Jogaram
Pajamas,
muito.
kind of team who can
DK
drop
não tá
20
se
quite easily with
encontrando
a
nada,
win
né?
if they catch
Porra,
fire,
velho. Os
if
caras
they
foram
find a
os
couple of their
campeões
teammates
do
going away.
último.
Of course, these 3 players not unfamiliar to the esports
Mano,
World
ano
Cup,
muda muita
finished
coisa,
3rd
né,
last
velho?
year when they were competing together as a trio as well.
Competição
So
aumentou demais,
it's
velho.
probably an unfamiliar territory, as you were talking about. It's a team that would expect more, would expect to be
A
right
NiP
at the
precisa
tippy top of the
levantar essa
leaderboards.
moral deles
And you have to
aí,
dig
mano,
deep. But all
porque
it takes is one
entrar no
win
jogo com
to
as
get you
cabeça
back
baixa
on
já não...
track. Change that mentality.
How many times have we seen that as well?
Tão parecendo a Team
really
League de
struggling at
ontem.
the moment, all of a sudden one game, an absolute bomb that they drop in
O cara só não pode
a
chutar,
huge
pô.
amount of points, and then next game it's like, oh, they're in the top 5 again. Oh, they're in the top 5 again. It really can change the momentum of how your day is looking. And
Vixe,
another team
mano,
who's
a
going
galera
to
da
look to
BK
change
tá
the
meio...
momentum of the day is VK Gaming. Very similar story at the moment. Struggling, defending champions, of course. Won EWC last year. not really looking like their old selves at the moment.
And these are the overall
stage 1.
rankings as it stands. Remember, you want to be at the tippy top. You want to be progressing into those finals. You don't want to be at the bottom. If you're in the mid-ground, then you will move into the survival stage. But Team Liquid at 118 at the moment.
Cara, Team Liquid é time muito forte, né, mano? Os caras ontem foram muito coesos, velho.
Try and catch up as well. Falcons being in 4th. GG, even with just the points they have had already at 80 points. There is a massive opportunity for Gaming Gladiators to push their way all the way up to the likes of Team Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, 5 games still remaining for them. It's today. They really could be top of the pile when we are finished, when the last bullet is fired. The other end of the stage not looking too good for a couple of the teams down there. You can keep your eyes on them, and Sentinels fans will want to see them pick up a little bit of momentum as well, of course. Always well supported, as you would expect, with some of the best personalities in the Apex Legends Global Series, and talent, of course. Under the Blooming
Don't lose,
world
please.
champions. So they've got the Glory Hunters with them as well.
Yeah, where were they in 2024?
Don't lose, please.
But still loud voices for Monsoon and the rest of the squad. Fun and Blinkster, they have certainly won over the fans, and you know what? I'm all for it as well, because very lovable characters indeed. They are currently in 7th place. They didn't have the best of games. They were able to put 3 points on the board. Sadly, the position they took, with the way that the zone pulled, they just found themselves in a pretty awkward spot. And you mentioned it, if they had been a little bit quicker, maybe they could have been in said spot. What I wonder is the position they found themselves in, could they have capitalized on the fight that happened between GG and JDG? Sometimes it's very difficult to do so because you hear the gunfire by the time you've actually made your way up there. The fight's already finished.
Yeah, it's a long way to go for them from that position, but you are quite right. If they just sensed something was happening, they could have maybe made that move, but I think that fight took place before the zone hard pulled back into launch site as well, and I think that's kind of what scuppered the game plan for Sentinels. They were happy with that position that they had, the zone hard pulling away, where maybe they were expecting it to come a little bit closer.
Mano, esses caras aqui, eles vão chegar, velho.
It's an old zone, right? This is one that we see a number of years ago. Eles já vão chegar
como? Mano, a gente acabou com um lobby. Tá ligado como sobe na cabeça, velho, você ganhar dos caras, velho?
Well, at least one of our underperformers from yesterday was able to find points in Team Nemesis. They've certainly been able to answer back and potentially gain a little bit of momentum going into this one. So now we continue to turn our attention towards the likes of NIP.
Olha que legal, velho.
We'd be expected to be a little bit higher. The likes of VK Gaming, the reigning, defending world champions. And of course, Zeta Division as well. A team that is first seed coming into this from the
a logo da Zeta parece loja de roupa, mano.
On this POI, perhaps the zone will be
é literalmente a Zara dos games, velho. Zara dos games,
I recognize those ladies.
Galera, não é igualzinho, mano, a Zara, velho. Papo reto. No, but
well, it looks like we're ready to get into game 2.
Zara.
I'll tell you what, the stands are starting to fill up here as we are moving through the days at EWC. We really are starting to get into the place where
Zara,
the fans are getting invested. We certainly are indeed. And as we start to move to the stage of the tournament, where elimination is starting to rear its head a little bit here, I'm sure the players are starting to feel the pressure as well. Game 2 is live. GG, you have earned yourself a loot cam. But looking at the zone, we are going a little bit more north. Countdown is looking like a place we're going.
What did I say? Zeta Division, they'll be hoping it heads a little bit further north, and they've got exactly what they could have asked for. For GG, they're going to be feeling so good now. They're going to be playing a lot looser, I would imagine. You've already got the job done in getting a win on the board, and similarly to what we saw yesterday, if they just have that same kind of consistency, top 5s, expect to see them at the top of the leaderboards in the overalls alongside the likes of Team Liquid.
Now, this is an interesting one, because I'm sure every single team in this lobby watched what happened earlier on one of these countdown zones. Now, to me, it's looking like this could go
muito rápido, mano. Perdeu muito rápido
Trinity, maybe that little house on the hill. If we keep those old zones in the back of our mind and what we've been seeing. However, we did see that bounce back a little bit earlier, and I wonder if that's going to play on the mind of some of these IGLs.
Qual foi o ban dessa partida?
Maybe we'll play the southern side. Maybe we'll see if we do get a bounce back, because if that does happen, we might be in a pretty good spot.
I think
você vê que Bunny Crypto já parece zilhão de Watson já, né? Todo time tá meio parecido.
Might not result in a win. You don't necessarily need wins here in the group stages. You need points, you need consistency, you need to just be up there and in that discussion. Sometimes you should take the top 5s, take the top 3s if they're presented to you. You don't always have to go for broke and bank on that victory, because if it doesn't pay off, if it doesn't pull that way, suddenly you find yourself in a 10th place with 0 kills and 1 placement, 2 placement points.
Well, nothing says quick rotation quite like an RE45 car loadout. No attachments. As we can see on your screen right now,
E aí,
this
os
is
caras
all
vão
about
cair mesmo?
position. We'll wait for everybody else to fall over before we'll let Alta and her passive do the work on grabbing some extra utility from some death boxes. A lot of teams already in the vicinity of Countdown. TIE, Reject, PXX, Trinity that we just saw on our screens. For Fun Esports and
Reject.
GK now making their way up as well. Zeta Division leaving for
Mano,
trials as well
ó,
on that northern
GK,
side.
GK tá atrás da Fan já.
And a quick rotate coming in that you can see from GK. And of course, passing through onto a ring console is going to give them the information they desire.
So interestingly, we have 17 Watsons and 17 Seers, but I believe there were more Seers in match 1, so we will still get that Seer ban here in match 2. There's going to be a lot of pylons, a lot of gens that are going to be dropped down. It's going to be difficult to try and take
GG
some
já
of
foi
these positions
spotada
that
pela
have been
Sentinel.
already collected in Countdown, that's for sure.
Well, GG are taking their time.
Nemesis
They know
tá
they've got a
perto também.
long way to go. And with Sentinels and Nemesis actually pretty close to them, as we can see, Sentinels just retreating a little bit here. The journey for them going to be very, very different in this game to what it was previously. It's about getting those Evos, finding those Harvesters, getting that information. I'm probably playing this one a little bit later on, especially with Valkyrie in the composition here, interestingly, for Sentinels.
Cara, a
They'll
Elite
be
já
able to
tá
play
forte.
this one slow, tiptoe their way in, and then look to Valcult late.
Que Elite
JDG,
matou ali?
Floating has gone down.
Nossa, JDG,
As
mano.
Elite Esports find their first point of the game. That's a slight worry again for JDG.
Yeah, we have 4 Valkyries in the lobby, actually, so there are going to be a few teams that are trying to full send it towards the latter stages. It really does give you that get out of jail free card, it feels like. But sometimes you might lack in other areas, whether it be defensively, for example, or offensively, depending on what your composition is and who Valkyrie is replacing in your comp as well. There's different varieties of it. You've got Sentinels who are running Seer alongside the Valkyrie and the Watson, or you can look
Nice.
at Kinatrope who are running that baby comp of Gibby, Newcastle and Valkyrie, which is more of the tried, tested and true.
Well, it looked like there was a little bit of a battle for the survey beacon at Grandma's house. So AG have decided, you know what, we can just go to survey camp and hit the beacon instead. So that's exactly what they are going to do. If you're wondering where Alliance are at the moment, they're moving through Epicenter towards the Evo Harvester that is available. They're on our screens right now. 1 point from game 1. And not a lot yesterday, Dan. It needs to start happening soon for this trio.
I was playing with a friend the other month and they were calling it Epic Center. And it just really reminded me of when I once said Barrow meat.
Ai, VK,
It's
não.
just one of those that
That was a tough moment for me as well.
when you say it quickly, it was just a polite, you know it's Epicenter, right? And they were like, oh yeah, sure.
Véi, olha isso, mano.
It sounded very English of you.
I tried to.
Tá porra!
I was going to say,
Que
Castle's
isso,
got nothing
Caça?
but the head of Cinetic to aim for there, but still somehow found the shoulder. 60 with that longbow.
So interesting, you were talking about, relying on what had happened in previous pulls. VKG relying on potentially a counter pull here and it coming southeast and coming back down towards Landslide, towards the area where it did close out near on the previous series. So maybe they'll be rewarded with it, but there is also the ring console near to them that GK are currently hovering around in Landslide.
I think they're waiting for third beacon here, GK. They're not going to quick rotate in here. They're just taking their time. And I think that Drops probably is one of these astute players who recognizes that zone pull from earlier and wants to get that information before they make their decision on where they want to play. Zeddy have a little bit of a scrap themselves at the moment. In the kill feed, you can see that Arufa has gone down as well for
E
RC.
quem que a Zed tá batendo ali?
Jelly's going to grab that Evo Harvester. He's going to be careful here. He fragged out yesterday, but he's going to be careful that he gets back to his teammates. The Void Nexus will allow him to do so.
Back home, safe, sound. There's a pot of soup on for them as
Cara,
well.
que ult foda, né, mano?
I always wondered what,
Into the arms of
Que ult
Duke.
foda.
always kind of wondered what kind of food would be in Grandma's house. I think chicken soup.
Chicken soup?
Yeah. Well, we're going to get a lot of more info on this zone, and this also, if you've got to
Mano, a Reject e a Trinity já estão lá já. A Zed Sports já tá batendo na... Tá caçando a Alliance. A Alliance vai bater de cara com a Global e a Zeta Division. Nossa, isso aqui vai ser um salseiro, mano. Isso aqui vai ser um salseiro, mano.
VK Gaming right next to them and Relove next to them as well. It's going to be difficult to actually hit this potentially without taking damage and going down. So GK's plan is one thing.
Que Elite, mano. Vai lá na Zeta.
On the arrows on the screen,
Ah,
it looks like there was a
tá de
stationary
sacanagem,
for
mano.
quite some time, and if they do have that information,
Os caras estão se matando lá e a gente
they're going to
vendo
be somewhat pressured by Relove, but it looks like
a Elite correndo pelo mapa.
elsewhere they're going to get out. Now we check in with Elite. They're going to be arriving from the south. So actually, it's going to be similar timing here for Elite arriving and GK leaving. They're going to see GK crossing, and this could be a dangerous cross indeed.
Oh, just couldn't quite connect with the final shots to get the knock.
Quem que tá ali?
GK though in a little bit of a precarious situation here.
Fudeu, moleque.
Walking on ice towards the spot where they want to play. They're trying desperately to get into the RV. And I think they've all somehow managed to make that cross and just about get safe.
Makes me so happy you're calling it an RV now, as well as Elite also seeing our previous winners, GG, start to arrive to the party. So these are all the teams that got third ring console information, by the way, as Light just can't quite connect with those final bullets. Blast just giving him a little bit of the wiggles.
Blast is probably thinking he connected with enough, because he wasn't missing too many with that headlock in his hand.
He's a nimble fellow, is Blast. Have you seen him on the dance floor?
Can't say I have.
Neither have I, but I imagine he is pretty nimble.
Mano, a GK podia ter acabado com a Gladiators agora, velho.
Maybe we'll get confirmation a little bit later in the week.
I did see him as a mime, so if that's anything they'd go by.
I'm not sure those two things align, but Elite Esports are going to press a GK continually inside of this RV. You've made me question that now, by the way. I want to call it caravan again.
I tell you what, if GG keep playing this way, we might see him on the dance floor.
Vixe, mano, agora a GK tá, mano.
But they have been able
Entre a Gladiators e a Elite.
And put themselves into a very powerful position. Now, Kinatrope approaching what looks like AG, but AG are going to back off after they'd initially set that portal on their scouting mission. And they've realized it's not going to be an easy journey. Zeta Division going to be watching from the west. Alliance now approaching from the east. And Kinatrope are setting up shop here with this Newcastle wall.
Yeah, much different pace this game to the previous one. Think about the fact that we had 3 teams alive. Zone 5 hadn't even closed yet. This one, we've got 20 teams alive. Every single player in the lobby is still on their feet. The respawns, we've had a few of them, but everyone is alive and healthy for now.
Aqui vai ser jogo de shield pra Kill.
Kinatrope are quite happy with the position that they have right now. Like you say, correctly, bunkered down. PXX still, we saw them earlier, inside of Countdown, and it's almost as if now, I'm not sure if it's going to go towards Countdown or pull down to the south. There is a team on the western side of zone that I'm very interested in, though. That's going to be Ninjas in Pajamas. They've got a Mythic spawning next to them, and their back is clear.
Well, Sen, one of our Valkyrie teams, have been able to full send themselves in and try and find somewhere to call home, but they are under pressure. RC probably don't want to allow them to reside here. And actually, one of the members of RC has gone down. They've got a portal to go back up, but they are trying to bully Sentinels away from this position. And it is going to be a fight in the moment, but you don't want to draw too much attention to yourselves here.
Yeah, Sentinel just smartly playing around the interceptor pylon here, just making sure they're playing around the jet. So any damage they take, they're going to get those shields back nice and quickly.
Alright,
be able to re-engage now. Big moments for Alliance, and Aku is down. Unlucky is down. And Sacred and Skittlecakes are in a 1v2 now with Hackers. The shields are already broken. Skittlecakes wants to hunt
Nossa, velho. Nossa, mano.
Combined with Zeddy, Esports stays alive.
Hackers has been given a lifeline, but now can you get away? No, you
Nossa,
cannot.
mano.
It looked like
Zed Game acabou com os caras, velho.
But in the end, it was Zeddy who had done the majority of the work, and sadly for Alliance,
Que
it doesn't
isso,
really matter
velho.
in the end because they go 2.
A Zed acabou com a Alliance e a Nemesis,
The
mano.
Sentinels who had previously pushed themselves in are probably going to be pretty happy with where that zone has moved, as we'll check in with that in a little bit.
Aqui, Reject
The
versus
kill feed at the moment
Sentinels.
is starting to light up. AG and Kinatrope finally getting to an engagement, and Kinatrope go down.
AG looking at the skies here. It's going to be Zeta Division who are over the top of them. Going all the way from the top of Trials now in towards Lava Fissure. There is some very interesting news when it comes to where that zone is going to be going, by the way. Just to give you an indication, where the teams are at the moment, they are completely spread across where this zone is going. No one seems to be sure if it's going to the south or if it's going to the north. We'll let the zone close before you can see it, but boy, we can see it on our screen right now, and it's a very, very interesting one.
JDG, VK e Nick, mano. Aqui vai ser duelo.
There's JDG. Still 0 points at the moment, but if they get going, can certainly be a team to cause a little bit of disruption here. But they're approaching from the south at the moment, and they are surrounded. There isn't really a safe avenue anywhere. As Sentinels are still holding this position, RRQ just suddenly showed up, and they've been able to take down the first.
Sentinels in a very, very good spot. Blinks up alongside Monsoon, combining to get that knock. And that's just going to take the pressure off them a little bit here.
Véi, a Sentinels não vai largar esse spot, né?
This is actually getting a little bit interesting here. It's trying to create a little bit of nonsense up on that high ground, get involved with the fight that's going down between RC and RRQ, and RRQ will be eliminated. This is a little bit of a replay from what we saw earlier as Alliance went down. This is
Nossa, mano.
And Yanya hitting some nice shots with that longbow onto a Valkyrie and deleting the rest of Wirotv.
What goes up must come down, and sadly, Gibby falls a little bit harder. As now for fun, they're starting to approach here, but RC have been able to hold this building for quite some time. I said at the start I would like to bank on a countdown area. I'm not saying I was right, but certainly they look more comfortable than some of the other teams here.
Onde esse cara da Farfans
I'll
tava?
show you what we're talking about in a few moments' time as well.
Zed tá
now
embaixo.
down, essentially playing a mirrored spot to what we can see from Sentinels on the other side. There is that zone. It has hard pulled all the way back into countdown. And look at the map overhead. No one was sure. Nobody wanted to gamble on where that zone was going. And with the hard pull back into countdown, there is 0 teams inside of where this game is going to be ending.
Yeah, maybe Trinity, ones who can somewhat capitalize in the building they find themselves in. Just on that northern tip, but that's about it. Everyone else is going to have to fight tooth and nail to get back into countdown, especially all of these southern teams, as you quite rightly pointed out, maybe influenced by the game we saw earlier, hesitating a little bit from the zone they had seen previously.
Also probably thinking that when they saw the zone pop, that there was more on the south side and there was going to be more space. It was definitely going to pull that way. Instead, it is hard countdown. And Elite now are going to have to fight their way in towards this zone. VKG are going to do it the aerial route. They're trying to find somewhere inside
Não,
the
VK,
countdown
pelo amor de
right
Deus,
now.
mano.
As they land down on that low ground, they're taking a little bit of damage. But most importantly for them, before the Newcastle gets CQ'd,
Tá
gets that
suave,
all down.
tá suave.
Yeah, there is going to be pressure applied, but they should be okay for now because you can't really overcommit to trying to take down VKG. Speaking of committing, RC again still trying to take down some of these teams that were below them. Sentinels have been able to reposition slightly to get a more central position as well.
PXX just been eliminated in the meantime. 5 squads out of the lobby in this game number 2 here on World's Edge.
Nossa, PXX morreu. Sentinels matou o Kaina. Vixe, velho. GT chegando.
Elite now having to fight their way in. They're just outside of the zone in 25 seconds until they're forced to move here. Kinda is down, the Seer is down, and now they are getting queued into oblivion. The focus of attention. Not just the name of the ability, but certainly what everyone in the lobby seems to be doing with them.
Nossa,
velho. Passengers as well. They're risky. Henchman on his own.
Elite matou a DCG.
Luckily, there has been knocks elsewhere they can certainly capitalize on and does.
Ai, velho, Elite vai
Can he
morrer.
survive though? That's the question. Can he get Light back to his feet? It's an opportunity for a Deathbox res, but Zeta Division just been eliminated in the meantime as well.
Ah, Elite, qual foi, mano?
Elite Esports will go down as
GK tá vivo ainda.
GK.
Mano, VK tá longe. VK foi longe nessa, velho.
So teams falling like Skittles as 11 squads now find themselves in the lobby. Relove will be the most recent to fall.
I feel like Henchman left his head out a little bit too long there. Maybe he wasn't expecting the sniper on the other side. Is now GG just on this southwestern side. This is actually a very similar fight to what we saw earlier. GG versus JD Gaming, but now Trinity are involved in the equation, which changes things completely. Deeds is very low, but is able to get back into the room and potentially gets healthy.
Vayne staying alive as the solo.
Nossa, olha a tristeza do cara, mano. Calma.
Combining with Jaguares to hit some really good shots.
A GZ.
2v2 down the bottom of this tunnel as we switch back over now to the POV of GG. JDG down to 2. Trinity just been eliminated in the meantime. As Jen's dad pops up on our screen.
Trinity foi totalmente esbagaçada, né? Farfan caiu. Mano, acharam o cara da Farfan que tava solo, né? Tava solo ali.
GG are looking the real deal, I have to say. I have to call it, Mark. At the moment, with the way they're playing with such confidence, they do not fear anyone. As Ninjas in Pajamas sadly get eliminated from the lobby. Again, it's an okay game, but it's nothing special from one of the best performing teams in the Americas, if not the best performing in Americas in Split 1.
Well, RC have been in this spot for essentially the entirety of the game, but now they have to make the move. Luckily for them, Wraith is in the composition. Blinks up. Trying to scout the next move for Sentinels as well, which is a little bit more difficult because they do not have that ability to use the Wraith portal.
Mano, a Reject tá viva ainda, velho.
Arufa just trying to dance. Sentinels are going to have to try and fight.
Eles pegaram o spot primeiro.
Very difficult now for Sentinels to survive this.
Sentinels morreu.
Sentinels morreu. Monsoon's going to be next, playing behind the knockdown.
Os caras fazer aqui,
has to try and escape.
Mano, Reject amassou os caras da Ascent, mano. Pensaram muito mais rápido que ele. JDG também caiu. Tá. VK tá vivo ainda. Nice, VK, mano. VK voltou pro jogo. Tentou o sequestro, mas não conseguiu. Calma, VK, calma, VK. Meu Deus, mano. VK perdeu pra AG. Mano, Zed em cima, GG em cima. Vixe, mano. AG e Reject embaixo.
GG have a chance to go back to back here, by the way. A game 1 win for them, 30 points on the board already for this trio. And as one of the last 4, would love to make it a few more. Luka has to pop the battery here before he makes the call on what the next play is.
Honestly, if they are able to play this way throughout this series, we might already be talking about a team getting to finals already. Similarly to Liquid, with the amount of points they've been able to put on at this
point. Quanto tempo pra zona fechar?
Tá,
a zona fechando. Mano, a G vai pegar os caras. Nossa! Calma.
But everybody focused those weapons onto the Wraith managed to put him on his back. That's going to allow Zeddy to get the armor swaps, get healthy again, and all of a sudden AG are now on the back foot.
All the meanwhile, Reject have taken space. Look at the amount of room Reject have now.
Reject está bem separado, hein?
GG though, they're swinging around.
Nossa. A G matou a Zed, mano.
They are collapsing as Zeddy Esports will be eliminated. And with an L-Star in the hands of Zane, he's thinking one thing. KP, take down RC.
Cara, esse jogo é da Game Gliders, mano. Game Gliders vai ganhar aqui de novo.
Well, can they do the same thing they did previously? Wait for the other two teams to fight and then capitalize on their rotation. You mentioned it. They're just moving perfectly in the moment.
A well-oiled machine here as Zane now steps down with that L-Star. Continuing pressurizing RC down on this low ground.
Calma.
But where are AG here? They have got the reset and Yanya now peeking.
Ai, já era pra GG.
The swing comes in from RC. GG
tá.
Gone. And
Nossa,
AG
mano.
versus RC.
GG just got sandwiched here. AG need a reset. There are
Nossa, a Reject aproveitou um momento muito bom, mano. Calma, guys. Já era. Moleque, como que a Reject ganhou isso, velho?
A fantastic pop-off and a well-deserved win for Reject as well, right from the start.
Como que a Reject ganhou isso, velho?
Fans that are actually only mere meters behind us here in the commentary booth.
Mano, os caras foram muito inteligentes, mano, muito inteligentes, pô. Eles aproveitaram, tipo, o momento que a Game Gladiators virou pra olhar a G atirando neles, tá ligado? Eles, mano, entraram e macetaram os caras. Nossa, que isso, DCG, mano.
But because both teams, they kind of hesitated, they waited. GG had no other option than to push down, and then in the end just got sandwiched by the two. So happy you could cry.
It's a lovely moment, of course, to enjoy the team that you've traveled so far to see win that game and get those points on the board.
Que isso, DCG, mano? Mano, DCG tá com cara de derrota, velho.
Ah,
não, mano.
I think back to champs when Yurice was just watch partying. 2025. And I was like, when are you going to start playing again? Well, here he is.
Ó, vamos ver de novo.
Back competing and back winning once more. And it is some very important points for Reject as well.
Olha isso, velho.
14 kills they
olha lá, na hora que eles viraram, mano. Eles aproveitaram demais.
AG just peeking up onto GG.
Véi, ótima posição, mano. Ótima posição que eles pegaram. Ótima posição que eles pegaram. A Reject, mano, jogou muito bem agora, velho.
Essentially swarm around the position of AG. They were just trapped in a corner. It was a very simple finish for them. But a couple of key moments that you quite rightly highlighted there. The way that they Wraith portal past Sentinels, were able to hold them out. Fantastic stuff coming in from them.
Nice Reject, mano.
So now we head towards our final game on World's Edge, and we'll have to see if some of the teams down at the bottom that we've been mentioning can find some form, because it's seeming like that story is continuing. When we talk about Ninjas in Pajamas, when we talk about Alliance, can't get anything going, but let's celebrate Reject for a second. 26 points on the board, 14 KP, alongside those 12 for the win.
Still going to be impressed with AG Global's performance as well. 19, and GG still put up a third place finish, able to find 9 points in the end, which just keeps tallying their points total even higher. And they will still be in the lead in the overalls at 32 points in total. So a fantastic performance from them, just unable to really thread that needle in the end. Had there been one more knock, then potentially GG could have still been able to capitalize, as they did send Zane in. Send him out to kill.
Yeah, some replays coming in from game 1 here that we did see on World's Edge. This was the win that came in for GG.
Cara, eu jurei que a GG ia ganhar.
Keep you up to date with everything that's happened so far.
Achei muito que eles iam ganhar de novo.
Very simple finish for GG that you'll see in just a few seconds here as they got forced down onto that low ground. Nemesis did steal a second in this first game. The second game after the crypto ban. GG had a chance.
Mano, a GG joga muito também,
getting
pô.
into the top 3, I think very impressive. You compare what they did in game 1 to game 2, I think you take a third place with some KP, considering how far they have gone.
Joga muito também, velho.
Some words exchanged between Kurev and Raven, the coach, and that's the kind of person you need to be relying on here. Raven needs to be having words with the rest of the team to get them back in a good mental space as they move into match 3 to try and find a little bit of footing here. There is a big opportunity for NIP to just put some points on the board and make sure that tomorrow is not too much of a scary moment for them, putting too much pressure.
Agora, Ninja em pijamas, os caras definharam, hein?
Tether-esque team talk to the boys.
They need something. It was interesting.
Maybe it's worth a try.
Watching GG in that second game, I think they tried to replicate what they did in the first. They tried to be proactive and move around, take some space, and hope they could kind of bully teams into competing with one another and then win out. But sadly, just a very different final zone in the end. They didn't have the same protection. So there are your top 3. As Reject, I mean, the kills they were able to put out and the damage output as well. Very impressive from the position they held right from the start in Countdown.
AG Global as well. Consistency again for them. How many times have we seen them involved in a top 5 in an endgame? They just seem to always be there or thereabouts. Zeddy Esports having a good end to that one as well. It seems like the form teams from yesterday are continuing into today. It doesn't seem to be much that's changed with the teams that we're talking about putting those points on the board.
Well, there's another team who have not been able to find their footing, not just in today's series, but in the entire competition so far. Can they turn up to this tournament? You'd think bare minimum we're going to see them in the survivals lobby, but it's worrying signs for them. We'll have to see whether they can bounce back. It is only match 2 of 6 here, Mark, so 4 more remaining, and I was mentioning it earlier, you know, they are a team that just when you think you're going to count them out, they find a way to get back into things.
Véi, a Alliance também tá com uma carinha de derrotada, velho. Os caras tem... Mano, tipo, olha a Sentinels, mano. Os caras perdendo todas, tá ligado? Mas eles estão lá, mano.
I would say no shade thrown to Aku, but at this point I think I'm getting there. And you have to start to wonder
time aqui de primeiro, Gladiators agora. Elite tá em sexto. A G subiu bastante também.
Speaking of tomorrow, at the moment, the overall rankings look this way. Liquid
Esse
still
é o top
top
10,
118, but with the extra points gained from match 2, Gaming Gladiators now push themselves up into top 3 on
Talvez a Gaming Gladiators eles consigam passar, hein?
You'd like to think if Gaming Gladiators continue this trajectory, they might be first.
Pretty weird that you called me onset there. Caught me off guard completely.
Sometimes I just do it.
Ó, a Reject subiu também.
Zay Division down in 20th at the moment. They've had a couple of good team fights, but it seems to have been a little bit late to the rotates. That was a zone I think they could have made a little bit more of. We saw them.
Bom dia, eu como inglês tento entender isso.
The northern side of the zone and then looking to take to the skies late to find a place to play. I think they had a little bit better prio that maybe they recognized at the start of that game.
O inglês tem que estar em dia pra entender isso aqui, mano.
The one thing about trials,
o que essa mulher tem, velho? Alguém ajuda ela, pelo amor de Deus. Ela tá com vergonha? Nossa, o filhinho dela ganhou, ela tá chorando aí há meia hora, velho. Tadinha, mano. Que isso, velho? Calma aí, pô. Mano, tipo, o filho dela ganhou, ela tá chorando já faz uns 10 minutos já, velho. Toda hora, velho.
First scuba I've seen so far here in Paris. Will it be the last? Question that only time will tell. I don't have an answer.
Muito engraçado, velho.
Well, as I was mentioning earlier, by the way, Sia is going to be banned going into this third game, so that just means that we're going to get a big old change of pace. There's not going to be as much comfort going into a lot of these engagements, not as much information. We have no crypto, we have no Sia.
Tá, já baneram o Crypto e Seer já.
Always a terrifying thought. Anyway, let's head into game 3 then, the final one on World's Edge here before we change things up once again and we force our teams to jump over to E-District to close out the series. Last opportunity for the teams who love a little bit of World's Edge to get those points on the board.
Ó, aqui, mano, a composição dos caras vai ser Newcastle,
feel to this one than we had in game number 2.
Watson.
Somewhat of a different feel in terms of where the zone's going to be going, that's for sure. I mean, can we go for
Alter,
the
obviamente.
west side of the map just to try and keep things a little bit all over the place? I guess it would only be the northeast that would... Oh, never mind. Well, that is not a zone I'm expecting to see. You'll see it shortly on your screens. Is of course Rejective won themselves Lucam as they're going to be playing the Mad Maggie, as is the majority of the lobby. 18 Mad Maggies and 18
Mad Maggies? Nossa, velho. Todo mundo de Mad Mag, mano.
She's going to be banned going into
Caralho!
which also makes things interesting.
Ó, uma Valkyria, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Valkyrias, mano. Tem umas 5 Eri.
Of a better opportunity to make something out of a game when the zone is pulling directly onto you.
Isso aqui vai ser porradaria franca, mano.
I think this could be tournament defining for NIP actually. If they do not find points here, if we do not see them succeed, I think suddenly there's a lot of eyebrows being raised if they weren't already. Capitalize on it, get some points on the board, and just finally find that momentum you so desperately need. The sad thing for them is you've got Gaming Gladiators so close to you. And we've already seen with a zone like this that's close to GG, they're very good at rotating fast and holding down that position. And they're the #1 team at the moment. Their fighting skills have been exceptional, and they're going to be
GK, mano. GK tava meio impactada, tá ligado?
And we'll feel a lot more confident in doing so moving forward when it comes to those fights. Thermal Station maybe where they think about having a little interact with the survey beacon.
Mano, a DCG,
o
Roy que tá jogando aí agora, mano, ele tava tiltadaço, mano, tiltadaço.
Nemesis already there, Rejects, NIP like we mentioned, PXX have just arrived, RRQ, you've got For Fun moving through Harvester already, and then you've got the likes of Sentinels and JD Gaming moving from that southern side already in towards the vicinity.
Only 6 legends in play in total, by the way. More Valkyries this time, so we are going to see a lot more people committing to the end game a little bit later. I think what's going to make this end zone in particular more interesting is the 10 altars that are still going to be available. With the building of Lava Siphon being very much in play towards the end game here, you can kind of risky commit through and go blind if you start to struggle a little bit on your rotation. So we might see a few forced fights just by taking that risk.
Olha a VK, mano. De novo, mano.
Most eastern building, you can see that here. VKG now also falling down onto that low ground. Probably have a little bit of a second thought, thinking about looking to play this choke and wrap through the Harvester side. Watson in the composition for them, not seeing any fences down as yet. And just as I say that, we do see that, and that looks like what the plan is going to be. And this position is pretty good if they want to Valcult a little bit later on and look to play some of the height that will be available in Lava Siphon, but that's a long way away for them at the moment.
Ah, é, ontem só de sacanagem eu dropei um Hypeee lá no VH Challenger. Tinha monte de cavaleiro branco em volta.
So I do like actually there's a few positions teams are trying to rotate down towards
Hypeee na Challenger.
Expecting there to be some movement from Gaming Gladiators and also gain the information from the ring console as well. But at the moment VKG.
Ah, daí você achou que tinha dropado a Cavaleiro Branco? Aí é foda,
né?
Mas qual Hydric que é? A mutante? Existe essa carta? Ou é Hydric normal mesmo?
Zaire been a little bit quiet. 2 games, 6 points. Not the best of performances from them, and they've got a long way to go. towards this zone. Survey Beacon going to be hit here by Satuki.
É boa a carta, né? Não é uma carta ruim.
No surprise, considering the zone is the opposite side of
É
the map.
normal?
Now, inside of the train tunnel that's a little bit closer to the zone, you can see TIE and NIP having a little bit of an engagement. Also,
Quem já tá morrendo aqui?
And DCG having a fight inside of that eastern building that we saw, taken by RRQ pretty early on, strafing flame.
Opa, calma.
But he'll be traded out. Easy flash down to 50 HP.
Nossa, pegaram a RQ do lado, mano. Caralho, a Sentinels, viado.
And now they look like they're in a little bit of a difficult situation.
Sentinels vai estragar os caras, mano. Fudeu.
I mean, I love the play from Strafing Flame, but sadly the rest of the team wasn't able to capitalize on it. Sometimes that happens as a Wraith. You get aggressive, you think you're doing something perfect, but the rest of the team doesn't have the same abilities as you do. But a team that may be able to capitalize, Sentinels, now hearing all this commotion, might be able to clean up what is left here of DCG.
Sentinels looking to move in to do exactly that. The knockdown shields can be frustrating though, but a breach charge certainly does help.
Já era, mano.
Monsoon moves through. That's going to be
Já era,
DCG
mano.
gone. So
DCG agora, mano, chutou o extremo, mano.
And now they will claim this building as their own. And one good bit of news.
Mano, DCG agora, velho, os caras já devem estar, tipo, tirando o equipamento já pra ir embora já, mano. Fudeu, mano.
That has been blown off. Now, if you take yourself back to champs, that pixel building had something pretty similar.
Se o cara já tava triste e nem tinha perdido de primeira, imagina perdendo.
Funny how these players will always find any little detail to just give you a little bit more protection, and if it's provided by another team, even better. As this zone, by the way, is already so full. Only 4 teams who haven't made their
Mano,
way
a
down
Trinity
towards
tá pressionando a
last
GK ali.
which does mean those 4 teams are going to have a very hard time arriving.
Calma, GK.
In particular, though, GK, they're currently looking towards Trinity, and Trinity are actually taking a position around them, trying to surround them, maybe looking like they're going to go for the kill here.
And Job's just trying to find a Q here that can get them somewhere safe. Zone's going to start to close.
Eles vão ter que lutar aí mesmo. Não tem pra onde sair, velho.
Safe, but I think Drop wants to reposition here. He doesn't really like the engagement early, especially when it's one of those ones where only one team's gone in the lobby. This is a low reward engagement here. Even if you win this one, you know, it's a couple of KP, but it really doesn't help you when it comes to those placement points and the rotate that you're trying to make. Trinity being very, very aggressive onto it though, but it... So GK have managed to find at least a Q out to somewhere down that low ground.
Nossa, é Elite, mano. É Elite, é Elite, é Elite.
And all of a sudden, they find themselves sandwiched between Elite.
Fudeu. Mano, a Elite pegou eles por trás, mano.
Yeah, sadly, Trinity are one of the teams that are on such little points at the moment. They're looking to try and take advantage of any possible points, even if it's KP, even if it's risky KP. And GK are probably saying, like, what do you want? What's your deal? What's your problem? Why do you need this fight? And sadly, Trinity are going to be able to surround them here, and GK may fall. Keon takes quite a lot of damage. Dropped is doing his best to just disappear through portals, and all of a sudden, Keon is left on his own with just a vault in his hands. He can make this a 1v1 though.
Meu Deus, Trinity. Nossa, GK, mano. Meu Deus, mano. Agora a Elite vai... Mano, agora a Elite vai bagaçar os caras, velho.
Get those kills quick. Take it. I would. I'd commit to it. Well,
Vai
actually,
caçar,
they've actually
vai
seen where the
caçar.
portal is, and they say we might not need to take it because it's so close. A stupid push, if I'm completely honest, by Trinity. That is a horrible one that has ruined the game for GK, almost for themselves. And now Zeta Division are arriving. Elite Esports probably very delighted being able to
Quem que tá chegando ali?
really taking up so much real estate.
Nossa, é a Zeta, mano.
Now, suddenly, Elite Esports have to turn around because Zeta also getting involved. The snowball of events that happen just from one push is crazy.
Tá, Elite vazou, Elite vazou. Nossa, mano, a Zeta ia acabar com a Elite agora, velho. Os caras conseguiram escapar. Mano, a galerinha da Alliance tava pra baixo, né?
Aku taking a lot of damage here on the Maggie. Gonna have to take the time to get the shields back to full. Yeah, I'm gonna be safe here on the hill, but what's the next play?
A galerinha da Alliance tava meio pá no intervalo.
Hackett is on the Valkyrie, so they don't have to force their way into zone for now. We'll be able to do this a little bit later.
Ó, a Bart derrubou o player da Zed. Da Zed.
And Jelly has gone down. QQ got to be careful though. Scarpa back to safety. It looks like they're just about able to do so.
I think a lot of these teams are looking at this zone and saying, I don't know how much further we can get into the center without risking our game here.
Tá em cima da VK aqui, hein?
For a bit more engagement.
Nossa, Sentinels.
By the way, Elite Esports was still looking for the remaining player from Trinity earlier. That they forced them way all the way up to Harvester, but they have also escaped Zeta Division at the same time.
Vocês vão querer mesmo brigar com a
Airkill,
mano.
Southern side as well. And Sentinels actually are in a pretty good position if they can force RRQ out of this building, but sadly unable to do so at their first attempt.
Leaks are trying to put the pressure on. Those RVs can be a difficult place to hold with a lot of Maggies in the lobby like we do have right now, and you're going to see it from the POV of RRQ. Easy Flash is staring at 1, he's staring at 2, and right on cue. The riot drills become a real problem for them, forcing them to take the ball. But where does that ball go? Not far enough.
Great aggression though from Sentinels. Forces
Alliance
RRQ
derrubou
out.
o
Again, it was
PQ.
one of them kind of biggest fears. Oh, what a pull it is for Sentinels as well when you get to see on it. Our world champions may have just capitalized on their aggression.
Nossa, velho, onde a Airkill se meteu, velho?
They still need to find playable space. Now AG are starting to smell something out, and that's the pull I was talking
Tá, a VK
about.
tá num prédio, a Reject tá em outro.
NIP, who, as we said, they need points here in this game. And now
Aqui
they're
não
gonna
tá
have to
chegando
go through quite a
voando
few
ali.
teams if they want to get to this next zone.
Well, one team that we're going to jump into a listening
Elite,
with
Trinity, Zeta, mano, já era.
moving their way through Harvester at the moment.
A Elite, a Trinity, a Zeta, alguém vai morrer, mano.
And a couple of other teams, so let's see what the comps sound like for
Trinity morreu, velho. Nice, kinda, mano. Bom ponto, viado.
Yeah, go. Nothing.
Bom ponto.
Flying! On us! Let it on me. I need to get high, kill up. I'm good. I'm flying on you, No, I get down. Come. Yeah, I'm good. I'm Jenning! Yeah, on us, shoot us.
Nice.
Shoot.
Nice shield.
Backside. Yeah. I'm swinging the back of it. I'm syringing. 1 second.
Ah, errou tudo, mano.
Kill me. Give me inside. Stay down. I can't. I got 100. I'm swinging on the outside. Enemy 100.
Vai, kinda, joga, porra.
Enoch, chill. He's swinging hands now. No. Just chill. Kill him now. One. No.
Nice, Elite, porra. Vambora. Nice, mano. Nossa, mano. Elite por tris, mano. Tris.
That's going to be Zeta Division out of the lobby, but Elite now have to scarp, but they have a long way to go from Harvester.
That is the
Nice,
quickest
Elite,
looting
mano.
you're going to see as well.
Os caras me conquistaram ontem,
velho.
velho.
Probably died to zone because they don't loot quick enough, but Elite are in, they're out, and now they have to try and push on this western
Mano,
side.
a Airkill
Fantastic
tá,
fight,
tipo,
by the way,
tentando
and
sobreviver
great to be
ali.
in the listening,
Com
just
menos
knowing the
player.
important comms of when to be able to bat, when to push, who's swinging. Everyone playing a
Nossa,
part in
velho.
Elite, even if they were knocked to the ground.
And here's another team in a great position for another good game. It's going to be AG. They are center zone at the moment. We'll be safe for that next zone as well. RC also the winners of our previous game in a very, very good spot, as Alliance have found somewhere to play. They have VKG holding them out, but Alliance are in a pretty good spot for this game.
Boy, do they need it. Boy, did they need points, Alliance.
Alliance got a Kraber.
There's Elite now on this western side that I was mentioning. They have a few teams that are in front of them. There's two different ways they can approach this. They can either go a little bit further north and then try and rotate all the way around to try and touch the northern tip and hope that they catch people shadowing them. Or they take the fight directly with 4 Fun here and then rotate on the southern side. But I think if they do that, it encourages GG to get involved. I like this though. Yeah, this is the northern route. This is probably the one I would have taken.
Smart to just jump through, just check it. See if there's anyone there. And then jump back through. Now, Light. Infinite ammo on the Kraber as well. This man can rack up all sorts of numbers in the next few moments. We saw him hitting some crazy shots yesterday. Henchman with the longbow in his hand as well. Do not want to peek Elite Esports right now because this man will pull the trigger and give you a free ride.
Nossa, moleque.
It's crazy, by the way, that Elite Esports heard 1 bullet when they void passage through, and they were like, nope, we don't fancy it. We'll go the other way.
12 seconds on zone hit. Gotta move, and we gotta move soon. No Valkyrie in the composition this time around for Elite, so they're gonna have to take the old-fashioned route. Sentinels have just been eliminated on that side.
Nossa, Sentinels foi eliminada pela Alliance, mano.
But Alliance now in one of the best spots in the game.
Alliance could certainly capitalize on a good position, and also other teams starting to try and approach them from that southeast side as well. But now we follow the journey of Elite. They go into the evac tower and they are quite literally out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Guys, o que vocês fizeram, mano?
Which, to be honest, if you can stabilize and avoid gunfire, maybe this can work.
Mano, o que eles foram fazer no telhado, mano?
Tyler's just gone down for fun. Alliance, what have you got? Backs against the wall sometimes is where they've always done their best work. And with the rest of the lobby in front of them and their backs clear, Alliance have to make this work.
Just to give you an indication of where Alliance are in the overalls, by the way, 37th position right now, bottom 4. That would be elimination standard. GG, down to 2 players as they take their fight against RRQ.
Tá. Mano, a gente não perde aqui, né?
1v2 by the looks of things. Strafing Flame is the last alive. Maggie Ball goes in, but from height.
Fudeu.
A team gets involved. It's going to be
Nossa, mano.
Esports will also fall. Now with the zone starting to close and with teams starting to be pressured.
Zed e Gladiator já foram já, mano. Começar essa transição muito boa, velho. Muito boa. Moleque, aqui não tá bem, a Alliance tá bem. Cara, como é que a Elite tá viva ainda, velho? JDG tá viva no jogo ainda? Mano, a Elite não tá no telhado ali, velho. Não, eles saíram de lá, tá suave. Mano, PXX e BK batendo de frente. Deu, mano.
Ninjas in pajamas, this was your game as well. It pulls the Lava Siphon. You drop at Lava Siphon. You are alive in the center of zone. You had the pick of the litter. That's the way you wanted to play. But can you maximize the points?
Olha a Elite no telhado, mano. Como é que pode, mano?
Across a variety of games today, as Elite will go back up to the top, and they can actually sit here when the zone does close.
Fudeu, mano.
As now the prayers
eles acharam a Alliance?
And perhaps they're working.
Or JDG might be swinging onto Alliance. Looks like they're safe for now.
Calma, guys.
Kinatrope, bang center of zone behind a Newcastle wall, by the way.
Tá.
As the prayers are being said by the Alliance fans.
Mano, aqui não tá bem, a Alliance vai morrer, velho.
Aku's down, Lucky's down.
Nossa, mano.
Akis, it's all on you. Top 10 is not good enough for Alliance again. JDD taking a lot of damage though from Kinatrope.
Trouble is for Alliance, it's going to be near impossible to get back up to a 3 here, so it's about just trying to survive and getting those extra placement points on board. We check back at one of the replays of how
Light, qual foi, Light? De novo, mano. AG morreu. Farfan ganhou. AG perdeu. Light meteu outro headshot. AG caiu também, mano. Caralho, mano. Nem fudendo que a Light tá ganhando, mano. Ah, que isso, Light? Não, Light tá roubado. Calma, mano, calma. Light tá quebrando o jogo, mano. Ah, velho, olha o Light, mano. Olha o Light, guys. Fudeu, mano.
The knocks are good, but where do they play next? Still looking for some angles.
O cara conseguiu a granada que tava lá longe, mano.
Might flush that team out from behind the cover they find themselves in. That's going to be JD Gaming, who at the moment are looking to get their teammate back into the game. They're going to be able to. Floating is back.
Olha a PXX, mano. Olha a PXX.
I mean, quite literally a beacon. Everyone drawn towards them, as now you're going to see Light getting rezzed at the moment. Slightly overstepped, it's NIP who are trying to take that position away from them, or
a NIP tá jogando.
stop them from dropping on top of them anyway. Could this be the game that just turns the fortunes around for NIP?
Nossa, encontraram a PXX, mano.
Oh, luckily the zone is going to keep them alive for long enough.
Ai, tá fechando aí lá.
As now the fight has to take place. VKG have done a lot of damage on that low ground.
Calma, caiu. Alliance já era.
And LQ's going to be the last alive. He will
VK,
fall as well.
a VK foi eliminada.
He clutched a minute ago. He gets the shield swap, but can he survive any longer here?
Connor's on 8 kills, by the way, at the moment.
Ah, velho.
They will be wiped.
Elite caiu, mas pontuou muito, mano. Mano, a NiP tá boa. Mas só tem 2 players da NiP. Não, tem 3 players da NiP. Calma, calma. Esse tem que aproveitar agora. A NiP ganhou, a NiP ganhou. A NiP ganhou. Caralho! Caralho! Nossa, mano! Héctor tá... E aí, Héctor? Como é que você tá? Só pro na tela? Para, velho. Moleque, a NiP encontrou um jogo, mano. A NiP encontrou um jogo, mano. Eu não acredito, velho. Não acredito. Eu não acredito, mano. Cara, que reviravolta, velho. A NiP não se encontrava em nenhum jogo, mano. E eles ganharam.
And they make the most of it. So many times in Apex Legends you see that happen and teams let the opportunity slip through their fingers. NIP seize the moment.
Nossa, guys.
What a moment that could be in the context
Vamos ver o replay? Vamos ver o replay?
The relief I can imagine for those 3 gentlemen, those 4 gentlemen.
Galera, a NiP tava tiltada, mano. Tiltada. Olha o light, mano.
Take a 7th place, which, you know, it's still points on the board. It's still better than what they've been doing previously. How about the performance from Elite as well, by the way? The amount of points they just put on the board just through kills alone.
Cara, a posição da Kinder e da PXX ali, mano.
And of course, with the lava being involved, there's only certain places you can play. But I'm sure at this point, NIP knew the game was potentially theirs. They just had to make sure they hit their shots. And even though some of these shots were a little bit shaky to start with, they were quite rightly nervous because this was very much.
Porra! Eles garantiram o high ground matando a Elite, mano. Cara, a galera deve ter ficado muito feliz.
Coming into this event, that's what we expected to be doing when it comes to these big games. And I think for them, that's just a reset of like, hey, we are still them. We are still that team that everybody has been talking about coming into this event. And that kind of a game, we always say, one game can change the entire tournament.
Galera, vou pegar café lá. Já volto.
Well, a 19-point game for them and actually
Olha... Mano... Wait, voltou?
That you got hyped up. You made sure you
my bad.
Yeah, this is what I've been expecting. You've been hyping them up.
Yeah, I mean, GT
Esqueci que eu tirei o som do YouTube também.
It took a while for them to explode, but Lufka and Blast, like that combo alone, everybody has known for such a long time in EMEA, and they have been showcasing over and over again. As
eu vou deixar vocês aqui, ó, embaixo.
Total, with a super good balance off the placement point as well as kills, and I'm just super excited to see that overall.
And with the lead there in second place, you know what? Let's talk about Henchman, because my goodness.
I mean, I hyped him up before as well, how some people are sometimes the most quietest, but they're very valuable to the team that a lot of people don't end up seeing. And if people missed it, please go back to the VOD right now. Watch that fight in the middle of the map where he actually pretty much 1v3'd. I think he downed 2 people and even fenced one. Went down, but his teammates got the trade to keep them in the game and just keep scoring up points on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and I think another team to point out here is it's kind of a similar story that we had yesterday with Zeta Division. You know, they started off and they were in one of the last positions, and then it took them the second half to kind of bounce back and start getting points. So it'll be interesting to see a team that another team, just like Wolves, all these teams that were the top of their regions going into this and not starting off these series strong. And this is one of those events where, you know, like I said before, you don't have the elimination bracket. Yeah. You can just get eliminated. So it'll be interesting to see if they bounce back as strong as they did yesterday in the second half. And we'll see what happens here.
Well, there we have the overall ranking. The performance of Team Liquid earlier.
Nice, mano, ele subiu.
Lace, that Elite is going to be able to pass him or not?
I mean, we still got 3 more games. Even Gaming Gladiators there just itching behind as well. I mean, you know, if you have a look at this leaderboard and like who we actually have playing right now, there is that opportunity to sort of sneak up there, especially over S8UL. I mean, they had an exceptional performance today, you know, in the previous games. But look, that's 4 points away in 3 matches.
Cara, tô muito feliz com a Elite, mano.
Yeah.
Eu peguei o time pra mim, tá ligado?
Watch out there.
Vamos Elite, porra.
French team yesterday and they only ended getting 2 points. Like
we could have just jinxed them actually.
Just throwing them under the bus.
Yeah.
It was so bad. We got to make sure we talk about it.
Yeah, play better to get us to stop talking about it.
Some of the other squads here, as you can see there, Shopify Rebellion, top 14, right? If this was the case tomorrow, they would be able to move on to the grand finals. That's not a team that's currently playing. They were able to play earlier.
I mean, one of the things I really got to say here, right there on the leaderboard, Reject. Huge win from them, coming out from them there in Countdown. But the biggest thing I want to say, that one swing they had as a full team, phenomenal. Just immediately wiped for height and then they took the 3v3 and won that game. Like, when you see signs of life, normally it's just
Nossa,
like, oh, they got a
BK tá
for me,
muito no fundo da
being on the
tabela,
same
mano.
page, making team plays, and then eventually closing out games. It's really good for them to see them wake up properly.
It's really good as well because there's a lot of talent on that roster
olha
that
isso,
has
guys.
not been to LAN events.
29,
as far as I know, it seems like that team is one of the more newer rosters when it comes to being at these big events. So to have them come out, do this well is a very, very big start.
Now, I want to see if we can maybe look at the next page, because that's when we're going to be starting to see those teams that are just...
right there.
Yeah, I mean, Alliance, as I was saying earlier, 37th place, those 29 points. Team Nemesis 2, JD Gaming, Dory, TLN Pirates, Trinity as well. If you're Trinity, if you're TLN Pirates, what are you going to be looking to do here in this next couple of matches for today to kind of give yourself some momentum or just react in some kind of
Galera, eu tenho uma péssima notícia, velho.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the desperation.
Metade ali morreu já, mano.
Last 9 games, we already played.
Já era.
And honestly, at that point, with the elimination being so, you know, such a big thing at this event specifically, you really need to start fighting. You need to start going for some kills early on. Get your KP early and then try to find a spot in zone. Don't think you need to just do it all in one game. You do have a lot. Space it out one game at a time. But hopefully you can start that one game at a time now, because the further we get pushed along, the more desperate you get.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, I guess we have to kind of remind you guys at home, like, it's not a loser's bracket. You can't fight your way out of it. You kind of like go into that survival match, and then that's kind of it. So it is, yeah, it is more tension on these teams.
They're gonna go home, but for like Talon, they're already home. Grace.
I mean, hey, speaking of desperation in general, you start counting the points at this point. Because now we already saw the bottom 6 points, and I'm looking at 60, maybe average, could be a little bit higher than that. And now you really want to get out of it, because you don't want to have to let it come down to, oh, I really hope this team placed in a specific position. You want to leave it in your own hands.
Por que eles não banem a...
Let's see if Alliance can get themselves
Por que eles não banem
and let's throw it to Vicky.
Alterma.
Actually, yeah, Vicky and Tiff, I finally get to introduce them. Do you guys think Alliance is going to be able to get out of that bottom 6 or not?
Thank you so much, Seven. We got a lot of action for us. You guys already highlighted the stakes here, Seven and Tiff, while we dive into our final 3 matches of the day, with 9 games total left for some of these teams to really claw their way out from the bottom side of the overall standings. Because remember, I believe it's like, what, 6 teams? Bottom 6 teams immediately get eliminated. And now,
cara, 6 times vão ser eliminados assim que acabar essa partida, mano.
Because this could be that last stride for these teams to achieve their safety net to be able to get out of that bottom 6.
It truly is, Vicky. I can't believe we're sending 6 teams home. And if you're really worried and finding yourself in the bottom 6 currently, well, let's go ahead and turn the tide on that. Looking at E-District, Alliance, a Goliath in the ALGS competitive ecosystem. I was a little worried, right? But you think back to their E-District performance just yesterday. They were landing a few 2 POIs just towards their west. They're currently now up in Lotus. Now, we saw Team Liquid play from this earlier in a different set, and Team Liquid was really the thorn in their side in that prior group matchup. They were constantly sending them right off the rip. Knowing that Alliance doesn't have to deal with them in A versus C is actually great news for them, considering the first 3 matches on World's Edge did not go to their favor.
Vai começar, hein?
Ramping up right all the way towards E-District and what they were able to achieve. Now, as we get started, everybody, Game 4 on E-District. We've said goodbye to Crypto, Seer, and Watson. It's been interesting because Watson was actually tied in Game 2 with Seer coming out after Reject was able to win with 14 KP. And then with Mad Maggie, it was Watson and Mad Maggie, but Watson ended up coming out on top with NIP winning that, and Mad Maggie is now available going into this first game on E-District.
I love that you're highlighting it, because I was thinking, would we see a Mad Maggie ban in match number 3? Historically, we get that Watson ban in the last game. So knowing that she's out of here on E-District is going to change the pace of play for everyone.
Mano, a NiP vai ter que fazer jogo muito bom aqui pra sair da área de eliminação, velho.
The shake-up of seeing a couple of Caustics, the Sparrows making an early appearance, and a few Wraiths peppered in there.
Eles precisam fazer jogo muito bom aqui.
We saw a lot of Catalyst, and by a lot, I mean
pra ganhar confiança pro próximo. Ó, Caustic, Mad Mag, Wraith, temos a rastreadora ali. 1, 2, 3, 4 rastreadoras. Newcastle. E essa meninoca aqui que eu não sei quem que é, mano.
Seeing a Trinity being a team literally on the bottom end of the overall standings, have some POI advantage. Can they hold their ground is the question, as TIE are already moving up from an evac tower as well as for fun. So they're eventually going to get sandwiched here, because it's the fight for the information off of the survey beacon as well as the rain console that's up on the high ground of City Hall in that very tall building. And we would take a look at Sentinels with round 1 closing in very shortly in the next 2 seconds. Lynx are already having that portal ready. They're already a full blue Evos. I like the way that they're pinging ahead too, because while they end up rotating here, Gaming Gladiators are trailing right behind them, but they're getting ahead with these fast rotates like they usually do, right? And they have no issue taking a lot of these fights when they know that their backs are against the wall.
The evac tower being dropped and already focusing on getting out and into that circle. So we'll see how that works out for them. Teams that are just coming off a fresh win in World's Edge, Ninjas in pajamas, all the way down in Shipyard Arcade waiting for information. And Trinity, who are going to be favored in this circle for City Hall.
Mano, eu concordo com os casters, tá ligado? Tipo, quanto mais cedo eles começarem a bater nos caras, velho, vai ser melhor pra eles, mano.
Yeah, Monsoon, that one hurts a bit, but you're not down and out.
And this is the issue, though. When Trinity, this is their POI, they have like little to no no space to work off of because everybody rotated here quickly, so they're stuck on full whites as Monsoon stays alive. Shitting his way around these nades while Blinkster takes a beautiful off angle. I love this, and he was able to get that Nemesis very early before they ended up going for that quick rotate, right? Seeing Rohai, though, breaks off that Evo shield, not trying to overextend with the Caustic Barrels, really having no other choice, too. And now just trying to see if they can get through his windows, but they're everywhere to haunt him.
You have activated my trap card, and it's feeling really scary down there with the triple barrels, but they do get in, they destroy them, and lay claim to the lower floor of this building. For Trinity, it's really difficult. You
Mano,
have that
esses dois estão lutando pela vida aqui.
Isso é foda. Them from full sending up. But with Blinkster on that Wraith, can easily just portal, enter the void, and siege if they want.
And the teams, too, just kind of overlapping them with Keon also right there. For fun, by the way, the first team out of this lobby. They've only been able to get 14 points over the course of these last 3 games, and even with Game 4 in their pocket.
Se eu fosse a Trinity, eu vazava daí, velho.
In the lobby, while Sentinels are holding it down inside this building, we're able to get Fun to barrel up in here too, because while they do play this safely, they're calling the zone pool over in this direction with so many other teams like Gaming Gladiators who went for a quick rotate, AGG who's also looking at TIE, and Trinity still managing to stay alive.
Just over 60% of our teams currently.
Mano, a Trinity tem que sair disso, mano.
Up by City Hall.
Eles vão ser eliminados se eles quiserem trocar com a
Sentinel
daqui, mano.
Team that you weren't expecting to perform at this level. This is the roster, and I'm really excited to see what they're doing because they're exceeding the expectations of teams that we thought of like Alliance, right? But it's Zeddy crushing the field. Tyler FPS, that replay of seeing them be the first team to exit the lobby. Now, here's why this is a big issue for Fun Esports, Vicky, is they are on the cusp of the bottom 6 and being sent home early after groups.
Right, because after this game, you only got 8 games left to go to actually turn things around. It's tough when so many other teams are going to start playing a lot more aggressively as these games progress to prevent teams who are showing that weaker stance in the bottom 6 from being able to turn things around, especially when you deem them as threats, depending on how the POI draft goes when it comes to being in that Survivor round. So you can already see, too, Zeddy already rotating through Energy Bank right behind RRQ, which, by the way, very surprised to see how quiet they've been thus far over the course of these last 3 games. Trying to turn things around on E-District. Alliance, too, as RRQ send one of their members to get the Evo Harvester right there closer to that ring console. And Alliance kind of trailing on the other side of that choke. But while we take a look at AG, love being able to hear from Yanya and his experience. This is a team that has gone through so many changes before they get back into being reunited once again. I love seeing how their journey has brought them to, I want to say, one of the best performances we've seen them put down in group stages.
You know what? I'll echo that sentiment because usually that is a team that will qualify on the last game of a last series in groups. And to see them starting in a 3rd place on our series today for this one, that's a great way. For PXX, just inside the top 10 on all whites, moving towards that circle, man. We got to get those Evos leveled up.
It's rough out here when you're on the sticks. They took their shoes, and now they're trying to stay alive before they're going to end up rotating on the outskirts right behind NIP. That's going to be a pileup to look out for because Neon Square does have that survey beacon, so the teams that want to kind of hang around Blossom Drive, try to get some KP.
Nossa, a Elite e a GG estão empatados, velho.
Where PXX could wait to 3P this and then also get the Evo Harvester that's right to their south side, out in the outskirts of Street Market, and then try to engage more confidently here because Reject will also be waiting for that 3-squad pile-up in the southern choke once a lot more of these teams find their situation in these buildings in the final zone.
One thing to note when you're talking about that pile-up on the southwestern side is Zeta Division is over there on that survey beacon. Now, Zeta is actually one of the only teams to run Bangalore. They threw Yuka F on the Bangalore, and anytime I see Yuka on a Bangalore, things are about to get wild for the lobby. And if you're 17th place in the final 2 matches of the series, turn it up. Go back to Old Reliable, do what you got to do.
If it ain't broke, don't fix. Sticking to your guns here while Alliance taking a little slow. They're feeling the pressure while we take a look at KNC, who are going to prio getting that survey beacon. It looks like they were able to scan the ring console just earlier. You saw it grayed out, so they're going to be able to take that evac tower, get up onto the high ground. While Team Nemesis are also looking to get aggressive. Saker is going to be able to reset here too. Probably have already put down the TV.
Quem tá batendo na Nemesis?
TV rather, and Well, you currently have Zeddy now going through Galleria. They're also going to be able to have the scan over onto that ring console. So a lot of these teams forced to play on the edge are taking their time to play objective since they have further POIs.
Well, here's what I'm scared of, Vicky, because when you think about Nemesis, you think about them having a bit of inconsistency. When you talked, I told you, I watched a massive interview that was performed by a Team Nemesis content creator talking about Sacred in particular, and when he joined that roster, he mentioned the high ceilings that that squad had, but they tend to have a bit of inconsistency. And if you can iron that out and not rely on one explosive game, that's how you find success throughout our week. So, still waiting to see that for today, but they did have a solid performance earlier on World's Edge. For JDG, it's a bit of the same, right? They're down in the bottom 6, looking to claw their way out. We talked about Naughty's first year IGLing, floating, being this kind of impeccable young player to come in, and we haven't really gotten to see them shine to their full potential just yet.
Caralho.
And we know they got it in them. We've seen it time and time again, but maybe
Vocês ouviram da narradora, mano?
on a land like this.
Sobre a fraqueza dos dois times, PXX e JDG.
Lock in and build up that momentum, especially when it comes to a game like Apex Legends. You can see the pings from afar, gonna be able to scan that care package, and the Evil Harvester right up ahead too, but it's not like they're gonna need it. They got the purple Evos ready to go, Nemesis as well. They're looking to rotate immediately with the evac tower. So many other teams still. Zeddy's also looking to pile up on top of Team Nemesis. That's going to be a fight over by Energy Bank, but let's take a look at Zeta currently right now. Also having this poke fight over onto the northern side of the zone before swapping over to Energy Bank. It's a TP insurance policy with the amount of ultras that we got.
Man.
And Albert Lily was able to get the finishing blow and the follow-up onto Deeds before the recall comes in.
All right, through the Dark Veil we go, hunting down the last member of Zeddy. And you can see Dupe out into the distance, and Nemesis, look, we're starting to heat up. At least we took down 2 for JDG. They found PXX, who have now upgraded themselves from their triple napkins to a suite of blues.
Umas kills boas.
Alter does have to get out of jail. The nade.
Entendeu tudo?
Things are ready to go from floating.
My dog is nice.
Just highlighted how they've been falling behind here. This is an opportunity to change things up. Shui's forced to be out of the fight temporarily.
Não, mas a Caster disse que estavam acompanhando eles e, tipo, acompanhando o cenário da Nemesis. E eles tinham muita confiança e eles eram um time muito forte. Mas só que eles não estão apresentando muito isso aqui nos jogos, tá ligado? As primeiras séries foram boas, mas agora tá um pouco abaixo.
Flame did want to capitalize off of that, looking behind him into the zone. JDG being one of the teams to try to rotate further behind NIP through Neon Square. It's going to be tough here, especially when it comes to coming out of that southern choke.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just a solo from RRQ, but they're just taking that much space. Reunited back again alongside one another. Zeta has found themselves taking a fight here against Alliance. We've called out Alliance and challenged them to get out of the bottom 6, have a strong performance. They used to be the group stage warriors. They were the winner of the inaugural EWC and now found themselves with regular difficulty.
Different look of this team, a big shoes to fill on for Aku. Zeta also looking to get that reset. They did get the res, beautifully done, as they're going to be able to also portal right through that fence line, get safely back into their building. They decided to put one toe outside the door, immediately regretted it.
Yeah.
They are feeling the pressure.
Nossa, viado.
Satsuki there, running into a bit of a damage now. 5 seconds till he
Tá tomando de todo lugar, mano.
We'll be back to fighting
Bangalore aí.
Yuka. Thanks to Bang's passive, if you're going to be out peeking with that, it's perfect for him to do so alongside an infinite ammo, 30-30. Now, they've waltzed their way into the north. We're not into the next circle just yet. Teams they're going to have to fight through, AG Global, Gaming Gladiators, but back to the south we go. Zeddy, PXX, JD Gaming, and RRQ.
It's gonna be a bloodbath here with what, 5 of these teams.
Galera, tá fechando, mano. Tá fechando. GK matou a NiP. Tal matou a Nemesis. Mano, a GK tá acabando com a NiP, mano. Tá. Ninja acabou de perder, viado. Nossa, mano, reject, mano.
down, and RRQ are able to reset.
That's okay. We get Easy Flash back up on his feet alongside
Acabaram com a
Gracie and
Zed,
strafing, and they live to see another day. So long as they can contend with VKG, maybe GK as well, and JDG having issues with their own. Reject, a former map winner, caught between them as they look to reposition.
We're moving up here though, Yuris.
A Elite tá matando a JDG. Mano, JDG foi eliminado, velho. Nemesis acabou de cair também pra Alliance. Moleque, a Elite tá amassando os caras, velho. Eles vão pegar primeiro lugar, velho.
Think back to when Kindo was 16 and had just entered the ALGS. He has leveled up so much.
Crazy to think how fast time flies too. I was there to be able to see that growth.
That like 3 years ago?
Tá.
Yeah, literally, right?
Mano, a Elite tá indo muito bem, velho. A Elite tá indo muito bem.
From Kinda is just on another level. We gotta keep it up here. They're sitting at 38 points, first place overall ahead of Gaming Gladiators, while Alliance.
This is a big one.
Nossa, mano.
Highlighting the fact that there's 50 spots left. The follow-up is beautiful. From Aku and Hockeys, just to paint the path here. Yuko getting knocked, trying to crawl away.
Caçou.
Especially with the TPs in this lobby.
But here's the deal, they're not out just yet.
Mano, a Alliance tá voltando, guys. A Alliance tá voltando, mano. Eles não querem ficar na eliminação, mano.
But for now, Zeta lives to see another one.
As a solo, perhaps, you're seeing how they're going to be able to try to reset. It's just the Sparrow who's alive, while AG now take to the skies. Where can they go? No Valkyrie Insight, no human UAV. They're pinging right below. They know they're going to have to land on top of the bottom side of the building. I also heard a Kraber, by the way, as Kinda does get the follow-up knock in the feed.
Ai, meu Deus, mano. A Global, mano, se meteu no pior lugar do mundo, velho.
Satsuki figured out Zeta out of the lobby. Sentinels going big. VKG have found GK, and they want their position. Casa grabs dropped, and for now a 3v2. We expend the veil and shake it up. This is visual clutter at its finest, my friends, and you just have to stay locked.
I mean, you're gonna get hit with a red
VK tá laivando a GK.
through the veil. I mean, good luck with that. It's a slowdown, and now stuck as a duo, you have to play a dancing.
Meu Deus, mano. É 4 times num prédio só, velho. VK derrubou mais um.
I love the fact that you have Mad Maggie still available in this game 4. You get that tick damage, you get just enough.
Mano, nice. VK ganhou da GK, mano.
GK Esports, but now you see Sentinels also in trouble. Blinks are literally one shot.
Câmera, alô?
King of the Hill on top of that building the entire time. We lose.
Ai, BCG não, mano. Nossa, velho. Nossa, mano, a DCG, velho.
He just dropped all over his head, literally. Playing a whole different game while Alliance are holding onto the high ground. They're playing very split. I'm hearing the crowd give them their energy, and they're playing split to take space on purpose because a team who does have ring priority.
Alliance tá querendo, mano. Alliance tá querendo, velho. Mas aqui não tá chegando do lado direito delas, mano.
We didn't get the death box reset just yet. That's why they kept that going. 7 seconds are needed, and Lufka will be back into the game. We can focus on the rotation. When you have 34 seconds to make this from the low ground,
tá.
Lufka not gonna make it back in the rings, taking him down. The last Cinco likely to play as a duo, but that's
mano,
okay. 2 points out of the top of the leaderboard, and it's Elite EU on your screen at the top.
Nossa, Elite, mano. Eles vão dar de cara com a Sentinel, velho. Mano, a Game Gladiators tá... Nossa, a BK foi eliminada. Nossa, a Elite acabou com a Alliance, mano. Cadê? Onde isso?
and the 2 and 3 teams at the top are still alive.
Can we talk about the fact that there are 9 squads left? With this final ring about to close behind their backs, GG do end up getting the res.
We get him back, let's go.
Mano, a GG conseguiu reviver o cara, velho.
It's going to be crazy to see what this pile up on the southern side, where this building is, right where Trinity is standing on. The team that has this POI advantage, that has been here from the beginning, a team.
Olha a Sentinels, velho, ali embaixo.
End of the overall standings. Can they start coming alive?
Mano, a Trinity nunca largar o osso, mano.
8 squads left, 23 seconds to go before this final ring closes.
They've had to kind of keep out of sight. They didn't have a ton of nades towards the end game and only so many angles they can take. Obviously, people have been hiding from them to deny them kills, but Ty here. An infinite ammo Kraber to punish anyone who peeks out for just 2 seconds too long. Do it. I see it. Grab that catalyst.
He's hungry.
Just one.
Vai.
I'm like counting. Oh. I'm like so ready. Like my heart rate is like climbing inch by inch. So
they said hasta la vida. They took that portal.
A GG acabou com aquilo, mano.
Who has been here for so long. Get evicted while Zane
Fudeu.
getting blasted here.
Can we hold?
Fudeu.
Unfortunate for both of them, they take too much damage, even though they're hiding right there behind the other side of the Newcastle wall. It's not going to be enough.
Meu Deus, a Sentinels matou a Trinity, mano. E a Elite chegou junto, velho. Nossa, a Elite eliminou as Sentinels, velho. Calma, PXX. Eliminada. Meu Deus, mano. Olha o Light, viado. Mano, acabaram com a Global, velho. É GG em Elite. Calma.
Between Elite and Gaming, TIE are out of this fight. They don't have the altar. They don't know.
Mano, a Elite ganhou, velho. Elite ganhou.
And Light, the Devo doing just enough to find Blast. Gaming Gladiators now forced to look ahead.
Olha a Tai, olha a Tai. Tai morreu, moleque.
They went back. Gaming Gladiators are down, but Elite are so
Calma.
healthy and Tai make their approach and they do.
Cadê? Falta um da Tai, mano. Ai, esse Elite, moleque. Vambora. Vambora. Caralho, Elite, moleque.
They even had to go in through the ring there, but it's even better to see how Elite was able to hold
Mano, o Light é insano, mano.
They did what they needed to do, right? With not having the right composition, they still got second place. They secured extra points there, even if they just got 2 KP, while Gaming Gladiators, who were holding the height alongside Elite, did get 4 KP, but with Elite coming in swinging the double-digit KP.
Ué, botaram a foto errada dos caras, mano.
And that first place spot.
Porra, é essa?
That is absolutely insane. I sit here, I look. We had this exact same circle yesterday, Vicky. And it truly was the difference between having
que foto é aquela ali, velho?
the high ground for that. But for now, you think about the just chaosness that each
não é a Elite ali, não é?
And as you look at it, with 2 more maps
botaram as fotos erradas dos caras, mano.
I'm starting to get nervous. I mean, they had 15 kills, Elite Esports. They were, like, Gaming Gladiators and Elite were tied coming into this game. And when you drop a 27-point banger...
Mano, olha a Elite, mano.
Can we just run that back?
Apareceu o cara da Tai ali, mano. O Light só acabou com ele, velho.
It's the pressure of having to take ring damage there too, but they griefed Gaming Gladiators. They did what they wanted to do, which was get that second place spot.
Nossa, velho.
O
cara tava com de vida.
It's a matter of time as Elite are very thankful to TIE.
Moleque, o Light é bom, mano.
Esse
moleque é bom, mano.
Not only harass Gaming Gladiators who were not expecting it, but allow them to get the placement and then the dub. They were farming that game the way that they were able to clear that side of zone.
You look at their damage differential, 1,700.
Caralho, o Light é muito bom, mano.
Them in this lobby was Trinity, and they dealt 4,800 more
damage. O pessoal da Elite tá acabando o campeonato.
Like eagles on top of that building in City Hall.
What helps is kinda, we just talked about this young gun legend on Sparrow who dropped 7 kills in that game alone. Jaguares is the next player who actually dropped 7 kills, but we did see them go out a little bit earlier.
Olha a Elite,
here
mano.
in our match results falling in 4th place. but taking that dub means everything. Henchman was right behind them, though, in terms of the kill leaders.
Mano, 15 pontos em kill, velho.
5 kills, and Light with 3. So it's a great look here for these players, as this is the first game that we have on E-District between groups A and C. And now with no Mad Maggie in the midst, we saw what that drill was doing for the teams with their backs against the wall, whether it be a fence line or a building, the pressure that drill was putting in.
See, here's the tough part as we kind of go to the other side of that match result, and it's Team Nemesis in 17th place. They had 18 points from match number 1, and that, I think, carried them through World's Edge. So
Ninja de Pijamas não pontuaram nada, velho.
I looked back to yesterday. Throughout the entire 3 games that we cast, Vicky, they acquired 13 points.
It's crazy, actually. Considering who's in that bottom 6 side of the overall standings, and now with 8 games to go, we can take a look at AG, and Nizul going to be able to get that Wirotv pick off too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you look back. I just love seeing the alternator plays, especially the aggression. There's a couple people that really favor it, and it's interesting to see. Zane as well. An alternator enjoyer, but that's where the Devo starts to rip. They take down, you see.
Mano, olha essa play do Light, tipo.
Final again. A nice knock there onto Blast from Light, who always has a Kraber in hand.
Dude, and he is insane with it too. And you have the gold Devo in hand too, without the infinite ammo, is definitely interesting to see. But when it comes to Elite, they find this consistency on E-District. Let's not forget, in day number 1, literally just yesterday in Group C and D, Elite won in a very similar way on E-District with 5 KP. That's when the Seer was banned out right afterwards, right? But that was when we started off our series with the first 3 games on E-District. That's the big difference maker when it comes to looking at a lot of these legends when they do get banned as we progress through our 6-game series. Now, as they've displayed that consistency on E-District and no more Mad Maggie, we got to see how this Game 5 is looking like, because the likes of Alliance,
Moleque, o Light é muito pique. Olha o Zero, mano. Zero tá tremendo pro Light já, velho.
Hi, Zero.
Are still on the bottom end side, while Zero is taking his time to look at the games from the crowd.
It just made me think of the content piece we ran on break, and it was like, what is the wildest DMs you've ever received? And you see people on phone, and I'm like, what do we check in the crazy DMs? You never know. But as we, speaking of the Legends draft, we lose out on Mad Maggie. I think you mentioned this, but it's interesting because oftentimes Mad Maggie goes in map number 3, and Watson doesn't actually get banned until later. So I feel like this is already shifting what we're seeing on E-District, but having Alter just makes everything so freaking chaotic.
It does, man. Whether it be the kidnaps or just being able to get into a lot of these difficult rotations where you otherwise would have been held by a team that's holding these chokes on E-District. It can be a little brutal here.
Nossa,
still
mano.
get to see Alter and even
honestly, for the olha a pontuação da Elite, mano.
With rocking the Valkyrie, that human UAV that gets a scan.
Mano, olha o gap gigantesco que tem, velho, dos caras.
Yeah, another level is the fact that, so Team
Alliance,
Nemesis had 18
mano,
points in map number 1 on World's Edge. We're at 20 points, which means in an actual set of 4 games, we are averaging 5 points per game. So a team that needs to avoid the bottom 6, I'm calling that out. Alliance as well, who entered this series in the bottom 6. You're telling me that our group stage warriors, our winners of the first EWC, have found themselves in the bottom 6. So the fans of Alliance are here to give them all of their energy to change the fate, to live to see longer in this tournament in the next.
Pô, os caras têm a torcida, pô.
Man, one of the loudest fans that
Vamos, galera, anima aí, caralho.
At these lands. When it comes to ramping up and giving them their
viado. Pô, os caras tão torcendo e os caras lá puto, tá ligado? Manda um aê, caralho, salve, vambora, porra. Ah, mandou um beijinho, moleque. Ai, tô tímido agora, mano. Tô tímido.
He's ready to go. He's like, we are going to turn this around, because we look at the overall rankings, and this really needs to paint the picture, Vicky, because 8 games separated from our 6 teams that go home. Elite Esports currently in this have usurped Team Liquid for the top, and we're not even done with this series. So not only are they winning their groups, but they're acquiring so many points to do it. 11th through 20th, Gen G, who didn't play their best yesterday, because I mean they were literally 2 hours after getting here in Paris before they competed, have stepped up almost into the top 10. This is where my big question is. We saw TLN Pirates, our French squad, play earlier today. They actually got a ton of points considering, you know, their first day performance, so I'm keeping tabs on them, but it's Alliance in 37th, it's JD Gaming in 36th, and Team Nemesis in 35. Also, Ninjas in Pajamas, after their win, have broken out of the bottom 6, so that just goes to show you one explosive game can change your fate. If we're going down to literally the very bottom, one game can do it.
That's what's at risk when it comes to these rules.
Mano, a VK tá no foco ali, tá ligado? Tipo, eles não estão eliminados do jogo, né? Obviamente.
Yeah, and I actually really like that, honestly, because when you talk about what these teams are playing for in terms of group stage, there's no winner's record, right? I mean, you get to go into that finals lobby if you're one of the top 14 teams
Meu microfone parou,
who get to advance to that finals, but then you have to worry about playing in that survivor stage.
Que isso?
The bottom 6 teams don't even get to see the light of day. Take a look at For Fun. Over on the back end side too, because they're kind of on the cusp, because it's very close in terms of points, even if you look.
Mano, a For Fun tá realmente For Fun, tá?
For Fun do have 43 total points. Right there, right behind NIP, who were able to get right out with 44 points.
I love that we're going to the Zeta fans right after seeing Suzuki on screen. So just knowing that Yuka broke out the Bangalore on that match, I'm telling you guys, I have been watching that player play for Mechanically for so many years now, and so many of us want to see him at the top.
And while we get ready, everybody, game number 5 on E-District.
Vamos lá, guys. Jogo 5, hein?
To mark history.
Jogo 5, hein?
EWC 2026.
We play for fun, we win for fun, mano.
And
Da
our
hora.
pros are ready to go. We highlighted the POI draft before. We saw how this was able to benefit a zone pool over onto that northwestern side of E-District. Mad Maggie is no longer in play. Elite capitalized on
Mad Maggie banida.
yesterday. And now while we take
O que a gente vai ver aqui nos times, hein? Os caras tiltaram com o poderzinho da Mad Maggie, mano. Olha lá, Elite tá de 2 shields e a Valkyrie. Pra reposicionar o time, beleza.
The round robin group stages have been quite interesting, but post-ban, to see the changes, we got the Gibby Newcastle Valk. Okay, love to see that here for E-District, and you know, I'm starting to think here of where that circle could potentially be pulling, and will we see something different?
Ooh, hold on. Don't get me excited now, Tiff.
I want to see something different. Okay, look,
mano, olha.
are working in JD Gaming here.
Beleza.
Have a great prio to this circle. We saw what Trinity was able to do when it pulled over to City Hall. They made it towards endgame. They found a couple of
Mano, os times estão bem parecidos, velho. Bem parecidos.
One of the quickest teams to rotate. I'm talking, we are literally less than 2. We're at
Tem 2 metralhadoras zona lá.
They're full sending their position they
Ó,
want.
1, 2, 3. 3 metralhadoras zona. Muito Newcastle.
Having that draft advantage now, as they're also going to have the information off the ring console too. Gaming Gladiators trailing right behind, as you mentioned, the really quick rotate. And they won't be the only ones, because Sentinels do something very similar once they get their own ring console. For Fun already on the move. So let's Team Nemesis, because there's a bit of a pile-up over by Ham.
Os caras não tão mal não, hein?
That ring console, or rather over by Humbert, where there's that ring console over on that southern side. And Team Nemesis are looking at Zeddy. There's another team there too to try to go in for a 3P.
Triple white, that's all right. Kind of close to getting our ults already in case something does break out here in Humbert. The portal up towards the high ground. I'd imagine they're quite aware of it. Yurice is going to preemptively slam the wall down. A roofer across the way, but they're not the only ones that are going to be in contention, as so many people have moved to the full east.
Man, that's going to be a big pile to definitely keep your eyes on, because also NIP are right behind it, while TRN, a team who is sitting on the very end of this lobby standings. PXX are looking for some easy pickings as they find Rai again, being one of the first to go down. Just trying to survive here when you lose out on 2, leaving them down to a solo, but also considering the amount of ultras that we have. To see if that player does manage to get away, but it's PXX looking to clean that up, only leaving Trinity as a solo with just the Gibby alive.
Okay, but AG Global,
mano, a Trinity trolla muito, velho.
Looks to wrap around to see if we can find through the mobile shield. The electrified Bub is already down. And we've got the PK in hand, Purple Bolt. We portal through, back we go, behind the wall, a bit of safety, but we've already been shredded apart by damage that we have to invest. The Gibby ult, the defensive environment to slam hopefully down and keep them on their great escape.
Also in the feed, by the way, Team Nemesis, VKG, that pilot that we were looking at earlier before is
Nossa, como é que os caras saíram desse beco, velho?
Zeddy as well as Reject and IP also in the vicinity, while KNC are looking to rotate on the outskirts of Energy Bank, but would love to see that Humbert Labs pilot that we're going to have with those 4 different teams. AG also looking to get the res here. Nizul's going to be able to get away with that safely for now, but KNC will hear this and try to show face while they bring home Wadis in.
Yeah, I'm okay with letting this happen and wait to fight them on the way into the rotation, right? Penetrope, Deep Cross Gaming. Deep Cross Gaming with a Western POI is likely going to be in the vicinity, but you can see the shots coming through as Yanya takes a bit of damage. We don't have the Mother Load available. Should the break out, but a Riot Drill will force him outside of cover. Deep Cross Gaming, we talked about it. Roy making an approach, and their comms in particular are very set on, like, hey, we can take this fight. Let's jump on it. And if your Knuckle Cluster takes down Yanya, you have a 3v2. So we're throwing all of our abilities at them to be able to cross that path in time.
Mano, DCG vai atrás.
Was waiting for them from DCG, now trying to be able to try to hold a
DCG
split
vai
angle,
atrás dos caras,
leaving that player to feel the pressure. AG Globo now on the run, while Sentinels also farm out. Fine, stay naughty. Seeing if they can try to get that reset. Again, remember, you have to consider the altar as the feed is lighting up right now. It's still that pile up over by Labs that we have hinted at. Sentinels have now moved up inside the building that you can expect a zone like this to pull towards, and unfortunately, Shubi is the victim on the other side of Monsoon's rampage.
When you think about teams that get the zone pulling to the top of their head, we talked about JD Gaming in Heights already having that. Now with 1 player left on that squad, having to full send and a negative rotate to hit a regain. For now,
a DCG tá querendo a cabeça da Global, mano.
Inherit power position. For Fun Esports have also moved
certeza que eles vão ter isso aí.
Still on the trek across E-District. Have found now AG Global. The fight that's been going on, they meet again.
Oh my, they were able to get the knock though right before he was able to take the TP. They try to bring him in and then he gets finished because they're going to prevent that from happening.
Yanya said no.
Not this time around. DCG now just running around as a duo and getting burned in the back. Elite now in RC, this is the fight that we really wanted to highlight because we saw that kill feed lighting up, and IP were part of the action. Elite 2 now making their way from Old Town. It's because the information that Old Town provides leads them to all the action. The invite may have gotten lost in the mail. Albert Laley is also going to be able to find that next knock onto Deeds.
Meu Deus, estão caçando o cara, viado.
Deep Cross. They want to evict them from this lobby.
Nossa, mano.
Getting me whiplash. You're going to be seeing fights in every angle here because Albert Laley then gets the followed up knock onto Deeds, but it's not going to be enough.
Que feio, mano. Que feio, mano.
Sure, we're seeing these side by side, but AG are playing out of their
o cara foi caçado, moleque.
Nossa, mano. The north side, all the way, by the way, to Electrodynamo outside of zone.
And JD Gaming off the reset. Alliance are sitting here looking for the 3KP they want. Shubi behind the mobile shield, a Mastiff to the face, courtesy of Aku. Did anyone escape? Where are we running to? Okay, we have 1 player left against JD
os caras da...
to try to reset elsewhere. Team Nemesis on the other hand
did
fall.
Yeah, we saw that earlier with the pilot that we have seen over by Labs, but with a lot of these teams now taking to the sky, Alliance managing to stay alive after playing so deep
Nossa,
into
viado, os caras da DCG,
viado. For the survey and the KP, they know what's at stake.
Que isso, mano?
Are alive just as a solo, it looks like here, and Alliance gets to freely rotate into Galleria where there is that survey beacon. With the side-by-side of how this zone is pulling and the teams that are going to be rotating over to that south side, it was NIP who managed to hold down Humbert Labs. You could currently also see Zeddy who are going to rotate towards Reject, closer to stadium side. They didn't really like the way that the fight was going. They're feeling that pressure. They do manage to get away with that huge pile-up that we saw earlier, and they're going to be able to call in an evac tower to rotate in.
This is so scary. You've got an infinite ammo rampage behind an amped cover from ultimate height in a power position in the next circle. Sentinels are looking to get some points here, and it's well needed considering top 2, you know, you're situated around 50 points. We're at 19. We can definitely usurp a lot.
A Sentinels acabando com a
and back to the replay we go to see what happened when they took down JDG, or at least a duo, and sent them running.
We saw it a little bit earlier, but it highlights how they were able to get up onto the high ground because a lot of these end zones end up pulling onto the outskirts of either that building or even a little bit over to the lip side of the left. onto the high ground that overlooks the waterfall. Alliance now moving up. Remember, we highlighted how there was nobody in Galleria when they made their rotate originally. They got the Seri beacon, so they know that there could be teams that come in from their backs, such as AG Global, who were able to get the full reset as a highlight. While JD
Se eles pontuarem aqui já tá bom já,
velho. But they're trailing slightly behind, hoping that AG Global do not call them out, as they're going to take a much slower rotate out of Energy Bank.
Alliance still carving their path. Kinatrope just up ahead. I saw some GK. We got VKG in the mix. You had 3 charges on the defensive bombardment there from Hackett, so have to be a little wary of what they're going to be able to do. Casa probably has some as well with that breach hamlock to try and make them maneuver out into their line of sight. Yeah, that'll do.
The triple bombardment perk as well here, just looking
que eles estão batendo ali? É GG. Nossa, é GK, mano.
Through the window to the wall.
And that is the opening that VKG needed.
Through the window, through the wall, man.
Still on the ground. Knock doesn't have a ton of shields left, and through the upwards area they go. Electrified bubble down, and they're like, we have a home now.
Zooming outside of that, want no business, now flipping sides too. GK are looking to restabilize VK Gaming. Look ahead!
Eita porra, mano!
Now get ready, set, go. Not committing onto the zipline because they have the TP instead, rocking the altar themselves to get up onto the high ground just as quickly. Now trying to fully set it. This is going to be important, considering they only have 11 points in total after the last 4
Guys, já reviveram o cara já, pô. Vocês vão morrer aí.
Not trying to overextend, but there's a shots from a distance. I'm seeing those charge up Sentinel shots. Could it possibly be? That would be insane if it was actually Sentinels in the distance, because that's just something Monsoon would do, but having to see if any of these players do get griefed from this POI. GK now moving up onto the roof, not fully sending it after they heard the rest coming in, while Alliance take another fight.
They need every point that they can get, and they've got 2 members of Trinity down on the ground, and we're pretty healthy for Alliance here, so the KP is stacking, and answers back. We're delaying the inevitable. You may take Hackett. A death box recovery will be likely, but Aku and Unlucky need to unite together. Do not give him isolated 1v1s.
Calma, guys. Calma, guys.
Trinity's down.
With Trinity going down, it's looking even more grim for this team, and it's looking a little grim right now.
Corre, Unlucky. Corre, porra.
Alive for Alliance. Booking it because they're one of the few teams that don't get that reset potential, by the way. It's not like they're going to be able to have that altar. Instead, with Unlucky being on that Newcastle, he's going to have to skedaddle away, see if he can get to that replicator right back over to Galleria if he hasn't already used it. Maybe get the res over into the
Alliance tá viva ainda, mano.
But he won't be alone with AGG as well as JD Gaming.
Mano,
playing on the other side of that Galleria, and with
Nossa, o LDG tá muito mal nesse jogo, mano.
Unfortunately falls victim. Yanya now looking ahead, but not fully committing to the mother load, as a suppressed fire does come in from the other player of JD Gaming.
I'm sighing because JD Gaming yet again get a full reset and then get full sent by a team that realizes it is a double res. AG Global looking to get to the top of the leaderboard, recognize the fact they can capitalize on that. And now JD Gaming is down to a solo yet again. For the third
Mano, a JDG já morreu 2 vezes no jogo já, mano.
Alliance at the very least though.
Beleza. A NiP tá jogando. Será que eles ganham da Zeta? Não, fudeu pra... Não, tá de boa. Tem beco ali.
Linkster's gonna be able to pick that up, while Sada's gonna be able to find 2 knocks onto NIP.
Não, viado, a NiP vai perder, mano. Meu Deus, velho, o que a NiP fez, mano?
NIP get eliminated. This is big because the 3P though is within the vicinity. It's going to be elite, and Zeta have also been able to call that out on where that next zone pool is.
RRQ 19th place in our current series.
Mano, RRQ vai matar.
The timing of this fight. We swing around
Calma.
straight onto Zeta, and it's easy flash on the opener. A nice disengage for him with a quick portal. back alongside the team. They
Eles não
recognize,
têm,
hey,
eles não têm
maybe
como.
we get a quick knock on
Eles não
that.
têm
This
como.
is something we can invest our time in. Doesn't necessarily go their way. They retreat and recognize we can just
A Zeta Game
go
tá mais
north
forte.
into the circle. However, though, there's
Tá,
still
cadê a galera da
teams to fight
JDG?
for
Tá
that
viva
small
ainda?
space.
Well, what came in clutch was having the evac tower right there, because then they would have been forced to be out in the line of sight of RRQ. But AG, we talked about this
Eita.
before, and the way that this pileup is looking like on the northern
Dive
side
na
of the
VK.
zone, they can't get a break. Yanya getting eviscerated. Hagwad is looking behind. They saw the
Nossa, galera.
All right, let's go for a reset. It's the insurance once again. Coming in when they need, because they put down that TP on the edge of that next zone. It's good call now because round 4 is about to close in behind their backs in the next second.
I don't even know if the Knuckle Cluster made it through the bub. I would have to rewatch that, but I love that they disengaged to reset. Still, for fun, in the neighboring building, VKG live yet longer. Good standoff for them.
RRQ, Zeta e Elite, mano.
They must go through Zeta to get to circle. An easy flash, repositioning with a longbow, trying to clip the wings off the Valk. Doesn't quite connect.
Sentinels were trying to bank on that building that they were holding the high ground for before eventually.
Meu Deus, vão matar a Zeta, mano.
Oh my, one shot.
Meu Deus!
As he finds a last pick onto Pricey. Easy flash. Looking ahead before
Calma.
reaching both of these domes.
Fudeu.
Party through the wall. Here's Johnny. Blast also following up.
Caralho, apareceu 3 caras da GG ali, filho.
He gets a knock. He needs some help. GK, take the portal back. The Void Breacher.
Tá, Zeta morreu.
Before looking ahead though, and it's gonna be GK who are now on the other side.
Moleque, a GK apareceu com 3 caras, irmão.
Are not moving from their building. They're in that next
Jump scare, mano. Porra é essa, velho?
It looked like a bloodbath. It was incredibly scary. Now we look at the actual AGG trying again. Round
É jump scare, velho.
And we go again. Niazul down.
Beleza.
One charge left on the defensive bombardment, and I think we're looking to try and clean this up, but for fun, they leave the building just
O cara da
ahead of
Fan
them.
tá ali só querendo
Can't afford
algum
to leave
petisco
that
também.
building, VKG. To push AG Global without getting third-partied, it makes things difficult, so you take to
Quem
the
que tá
sky.
voltando?
They get the death box res here too. I mean, if you have to
Ai,
reset,
caiu.
why not reset right in front of their face? While VKG take to the skies and get
Tá.
the information off the Valkyrie UAV. 12 squads left. By the way, Noct is going crazy. AG can't catch a break. Hugwadis is knocked again. Look at this. He's literally shielding him while he tries to get another death box res. Yanya, the last one alive after they get the finishing blow here. Hugwadis, can he come back? Nizul didn't look like he had any more of that knockdown shield. By the way, 'cause he had like a white knockdown shield. Oh my gosh, the Kraber! He commits. That is insane to do. No fear, holding on for dear life. And at this point, with RC now getting the follow-up knock onto Tyler, for fun, still playing off this.
First tá jogando.
Some help has knocked once again. Not Hugwadis.
Arufa trying
Meu Deus,
to
mano.
do what he can as a
Reject
solo.
matou cara da
The ring
Farfã.
is collapsing. We have to
Tá
go.
colapsando.
Gaming Gladiators earlier had annihilated
Mano, o cara da
Zen
Farfã vai ter que sair
Esports to take
sozinho,
their
mano.
building, so they'll be able to rotate on the other side. You can see them just ahead. But Synetic,
Tinha portal?
we likely are trying to get Tyler up if we can. We
Calma que ele
all
tinha
are
portal.
players for endgame. And the next battle against Sentinels. But
Pegou a GG de lado,
the
mano.
mother load. Everything invested, the electric bubble. We've got the dark veil down. We want to secure our position.
A Sentinel tá ali dentro? Nem fudendo. Nossa, guys. Tá fechando muito, mano. Corre, guys, corre.
As GG Sentinels still alive. 11 squads left. And this is so split up. Really, the less congested side of the zone is the western side, but Sentinels have fought to be here.
Meu Deus,
Look
mano.
at the house that they've set up with these
A Elite tá matando a GG.
on top of it all, while Kinda finds Luka. Strafing Flame then gets the Grand Slam, more than enough damage.
Nossa, acabaram com a GK, mano.
And found GK.
And Gaming Gladiators have fallen.
A Elite acabou com a GG
Now
também.
the third party onto RRQ. Pricey portals back. They live, they reset.
Caralho, mano.
But they're
Onde
separated.
que tá a
Force
Elite,
One has
velho?
fallen, and Kinotrope is still hunting down, strafing. And
Nossa,
RRQ
mano.
is out. Elite have fallen, and Kinotrope are now clearing.
Aqui não
out
achou
the
jogo,
side.
guys. Aqui não achou jogo.
2KP and climbing. Playing safe to reset and isolated on the northern side of the zone.
Galera, aqui não achou jogo, mano.
TIE, who are running very similar comps, right? And then you take a look at the solos, by the way.
Cara, a Elite foi eliminada?
Is still alive. The fuse is another level.
Caralho, a Elite acabou, velho.
Playing opposite ends. Kinotrope, though, are trying to capitalize off of this before moving up. They have the Valkyrie,
Eu não vi
so they
Elite
probably were also
perder.
able to get a scan if they could, but they're actually just walking through. They find Wirotv, who's trying to hide behind the fence line, sending out that Arc Star here, but not trying to overcommit, especially since it's cleared this side of the zone.
4 full teams of 3, 2 solos. Sentinels with fun on Rampart, ready to let Sheila rip if we can just get behind an amp cover. But first, you've got to rip VKG off your head, and so many Arc Stars are being thrown. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Nossa, mano.
And Casa letting the PK rip. The push
Nossa,
goes in.
VK acabou com a gente mesmo, velho.
Has another dome out here. Sentinels out, as you mentioned, and hiding behind the wall here from the Newcastle. It's going to be KNC, TIE. AG is still alive. For how long is the question?
Mano, Reject morreu.
3 full teams, Reject get eliminated. KNC are looking ahead. They're looking at BKG. TIE makes
Nossa, viado.
but a huge A coming in from the other side.
All right, I love a good sky.
Matou a global.
That was our last solo.
Só tinha cara vivo.
3 full teams of 3, and Kinotrope, our final boss status. For now, it's Spider-Man meme across. We're all staring at each other. The
Mano, como é que é?
invested to cut them off from Kinotrope, but Ty sends them.
Fudeu, a Kinotrope, mano.
EWC champions are trying to stay alive. That is VKG. But currently, Kinotrope are looking at the pileup in front of them. Can they clean it up as VKG get eliminated? This is all for Kinotrope to take.
Calma, guys.
The bombardment, though, have to be careful here. Playing out the dome, you get the L-Star, and that's all you need. As Kinotrope with the pop
Mano,
off.
aqui não se superou aqui, hein?
Number 5 with 6 KP.
An 18-point game. I'm sorry, but if someone's flying over my electrified bubble and drops down with an infinite ammo L-Star, I'm out. I'm out.
Well, that's why they delayed it. You see them floating around. It's just a matter of time before they're forced out right by that zone, playing it very safe. They knew that they had the advantage the moment they cleared.
Caralho, mano, aqui no foi longe, mano. Aqui não foi longe, mano.
That one lone warrior, the solo left from AGG. You take those and you take the dub on top of it all.
That's a really actual good game for them at 15 points. I mean, 6 kills and a win. No, that's 18. My math's bad, guys. My apologies. I'll go take a little class after this. It's been about 10 years.
Can't ever do math in life, Tiff. You know how it goes here.
Yeah, it is. And it was spread out really nicely between the entire roster. You know, Chappie there on 3. Did a lot more damage than they took. VKG, though, 7 kills. AG Global with 8.
To highlight, too, remember that it's the top 14 teams that have found that safety net to make it into finals. Off that dub alone, Kinotrope are situated in top 14, exactly on that 14th spot. Now it's about holding that and carrying on this momentum, because that was just game number 5. There was all the Gibbies in the world in that lobby, as Gibby was the most picked legend. We won't see.
O que o cara tá colocando ali no nariz, mano? É um cheirinho? Que porra é aquela? Cheirinho da sorte?
We've seen Gibby bans and usually around map number 4, so I'm okay with seeing Gibby go right now. That just means we're probably going to see a little bit more Newcastle.
Os caras vão tirar uma pausa?
We just wait and see. We peruse around VKG on your screen. Nice little performance for them. I said 7 kills, 8 from AG. Reject had a couple Sentinels though.
Mano, a BK tá bem, mano. Eu achei que a BK tava indo mal, mas eles foram muito bem, né? Eles deviam ter focado em matar a Ti, mano.
I mean, like, even just looking at the journey for Sentinels, like, they held that building for so long. It doesn't usually pull on top of that building, but it usually pulls on the outskirts, right? So they wanted to take their chances. As KNC now capitalize off the fact
Eles desceram muito mal ali, velho.
It was just a matter of time. Again, because we saw the pile-up right there, the nice little pop-off here, too, for Kinotrope.
Olha, os 3 jogam no controle, velho. Que da hora.
6 KP dub on top of it all.
Da hora.
I'm telling you, these group stages, they're the proving grounds, right? And you look at those keys, and at the end of the week, you do not want your key crushed. Knowing that match point finals loom in just a few days' time, we're trying our best to get there, to fight, to be able to be the ones to crush everyone else's keys. That's pretty savage.
That's why the dreams are also crushed, Tiff, and that's what happens. Finding your way at EWC, VKG
aqui não pegou 18 pontos e a VK 14, mano.
Is kind of situated on that bottom end of the overall standings as we take a look at the match results.
Em que momento a Elite morreu ali, mano?
I know we got Elite Esports and Gaming Gladiators fighting for the top, but they're here in 8th and 10th respectively, and about 4 and 5. So if this is our floor game, if this is our kind of throwaway and you kind of bounce back from that, you are likely going to be solidified into that top 14 you were talking about to secure your spot further into the tournament.
We'll talk about the teams that have been lackluster after these 5 games alone that really do surprise me is JD Gaming. And that was a really important fight too at the very end for Zeta Division, who unfortunately couldn't stay alive in that pileup. And we keep talking about Trinity too for all the right reasons, sitting in 20th place overall. That's despite getting that 7 KP, but being able to claw out of being in that bottom 6 side of these overall standings, it's going to be very difficult when Trinity's sitting at 39 out of 40. JD Gaming at 37 with 38 points. There is that slight gap between Dory, who's not in this lobby, and JD Gaming with 38 points, but it's that disparity that we have to highlight. 27 to 38, something that Trinity would have to climb a mountain or just come back looking completely different into tomorrow's last opportunity of the last 6 set of games.
Well, good look here at JD Gaming that you're talking about. You got Floating on your right, Naughty in the center, who's IGLing his first LAN here. They were pretty strong during the Americas Split 1 online, and we always were curious, what was that going to look like as they get to this stage? Now, this is a punishing group series. You're trying to find your footing, and you have to remember this is only their 2nd series that they've played. With 1 more to go tomorrow, knowing that you have to escape that bottom 6, it's tough. They landed heights, the circle pulled heights, and everyone shouted them.
Couldn't stay alive with all these quick rotates too. We take a look at the top 3, but it's very important to note with the damage output that we've been seeing throughout the series from JD Gaming. Floating alone has nearly put in almost 3K.
Véi, a VK deu quase 5K de dano, mano. Que bizarro.
Just to highlight how safe that they've been forced to play with the quick
Pra mim, a VK merecia esse round.
But then it's the hand-in-hand notion of the fact that we still alter
porque eles jogaram muito bem, mano. Menos naquela saidinha ali, mano. No final, velho. Que eles ficaram expostos pra ti, velho.
You say goodbye
Nada a ver,
to
tá ligado?
Gibby, and now we get to see how Game 6 plays out for the teams that are so desperate. We'll find out how that's going to play out on the other side of this break.
Galera, já volto. Nice. Mano, os jogos estão bons hoje, hein, mano. Os jogos estão muito bons hoje, velho. Tô impressionado, mano. Deixa eu escrever um negocinho aqui rapidão. Deixa eu colocar aqui. Texto. Nice. Putz, pior que tá sem o texto aqui, velho. Ixi, bugou tudo. Vou deixar quieto isso. Depois eu escrevo, mano. Ó, voltou, hein?
All these teams who have just not been able to get anything started, especially when we get to say goodbye to 5 of our last games.
I don't like when I have to hear that we have to send people home, and I say that at every LAN because it truly is heartbreaking. You feel like you just got to Paris, you just got to the stage to compete, and typically that's a different format that we're used to seeing. We don't normally
verdade,
send
né? A galera
16
foi pra
home,
Paris
and
pra
I think
jogar
that's
e vai ter
the
que ir
beauty of it,
embora,
but it's
mano.
also just
Que
so
tristeza, velho.
incredibly punishing and heart-wrenching. So for the players that show up here that have put hours upon hours and do what they can to do their best here, because everyone wants to win for themselves, for their family, for the fans that are out there supporting. And yo, that's crazy. They put their face on a chicken. I'm so sorry. It's got to be really motivating, but I saw that.
This is the moment too, though, where if you are one of those players
a galera da
perform under pressure, it's time to perform
DCG,
now.
mano, a galera do DCG já meteu o louco já.
7 total games left to go for these teams to start
Pô, os caras ainda vão voltar pra jogar, né,
Crazy
velho?
to see
Isso
who's
que é
on
foda.
the opposite side of the overall standings. Let's see if JD Gaming could do it. Alliance 2, we know what they have the potential to do. Before we get set up here for our final game on E-District, our final game between groups A and C.
Well, let's have it, shall we? Let's get into the drop
Último
ship.
jogo do
Let's
dia.
get on to E-District
Vambora.
and let the chaos begin, guys, because it is the final match of our day, the final match of Groups A versus C. So if your team's not performing at their best, I'm gonna need y'all to send all of your energy towards that stage as we look to solidify our teams that are going to be in the top 14, that are going to avoid having to duke it out into the survival stage and to avoid going home.
Which of these teams will be able to find themselves comfy in the top 14? This is how you elevate yourself. K and C being one of those teams to find themselves exactly in 14th in the overall standing. Sure, we have an entire day to go for tomorrow, but this is what sets the pace for the way that these teams.
Mano, os caras ficam mexendo muito na faca, tá ligado? Tipo, a faquinha fica rodando e tal. Muito pico. Mano, a Elite tá com 66 pontos, velho. Nossa, é muita diferença, velho. Tá bom, não é muita, né? Tipo, é 7 pontos de diferença ali. Mas pro resto, mano, é tipo 20 pontos de diferença, velho. Tipo ali, ó, 20... 30 pontos, mano, 29, né? 29 pontos de diferença, velho. Aumenta a velocidade no... Aumenta a velocidade. Tipo, é igual o CS. É igual o CS. Só que tem muita arma no jogo, né? Tipo, no CS tem as faquinhas diferentes lá, mas só que aqui, mano, muda muito. Tipo, dependendo da faca que você tá usando. Aí tem muita animação, velho.
And just finding themselves in a better spot starting off tomorrow. Sentinels now also making the move because they are getting trailed from behind. Monsoon running for his life. Nemesis now looking at Zeddy for fun. There's a pileup already happening over by Humber, and GK also are going to start making their way too. So Sentinels do manage to get a slight reset. Don't think they're going to be able to get the Evo Harvester, but they were inside of these buildings bunkering down because we got a lot of altars here and a lot of ramparts.
That's crazy, because it's not like you can throw your bubble down from Gibby. If you're caught out into the open, you just kind of have to deal with it for now. Ty on your screen, F-Chan beginning the portal as he goes further. Zeddy and Nemesis, we talked about that rotation and fighting for those circles earlier. They're just trading blows off screen for now. But here comes all the abilities, letting Ty know that someone is looking directly at them.
Nossa, viado.
The light arsenal bin being right there, and you can hear the knuckle cluster from afar. Notor's going to be able to heal up safely. Sentinels are going to be able to coexist right underneath them. This is a type of zone that you can expect a lot of the teams who went for a quick rotate to coexist. Not as easy though for the teams that will be forced to rotate from the choke.
Quem que tá espancando a tia ali,
mano?
Eles
não
param de tomar tiro.
Are one of those teams to try to clean up and get some KP. They're looking at Zeta as well as PXX. They're in trouble.
Enquanto isso, a Reject
get that knock onto PXX here. Would love to see how that fight is going down on the southern side of Draft Point, where they could fight for the information on terms of the ring console and survey beacon, because Zeta at the moment are just going to be able to not only look at NIP, but they have to worry about their backs with Elite Esports also pulling up.
For Zeta, we pull off the Bangalore, onto the Fuse we go.
Mano, a Zeta tá jogando, tá?
More empowering effect on those fights. Ninjas in Pajamas, who did really well to
na real que todo mundo aí é muito bom, velho. Isso é sério, tá ligado? Todo mundo aí joga muito, mano. Mas tem, mano, partida que não encaixa, tá ligado? Mas falar que, mano, a DCG... A DCG tá péssima, velho.
As Elite move up right behind Zeta, and IP holding a split angle by the bridge side.
Eu acho que os caras deram uma tiltada assim do primeiro jogo e não recuperaram mais, velho.
Safely move up onto Humber while trying to clear and get KP from the western side of the zone. Not being alone though, as the crowd was giving them their energy, and they're definitely gonna need it. It's gonna be Alliance, who are now moving out of Energy Bank, where there is a survey beacon, but on the other side of that wall from the choke out of Energy Bank is also VK Gaming now as Alliance move up. A little bit of a mispick right there off the Valkyrie missile swarm, but you could see the pings as they're gonna try to move up from that choke.
I was curious if they were going to keep on running towards VK Gaming and trail them in, or if they were going to dive to the other side. I'm okay with the timing of their rotation, knowing that VKG and Alliance both hail from the furthermost northern area of E-District. AG Global, on the other hand, who are 7 points outside of the top of our series, are starting to take, you know, they want to acquire as much as they can to boost their Evo shields, but they're not the only one in this area. If they're not careful, Deep Cross Gaming.
Mano, os caras correndo há 2 horas só pra upar o escudo, né?
How close it is in the overall standing. It takes one crazy game from Alliance to push themselves up into the top 30. Seeing how that's going to go too, because there's a slight gap between For Fun and Dog Red, literally 50 to 47. Now looking at Elite, a team that doesn't really have to worry too much with the performance that they've put on over the course of these last 6 games. And Hypeee have taken to the high ground. This is the part that I was mentioning before. Clearing Shipyard Arcade as Elite now wrap into NIP's line of sight. Alliance, though, Hawkey's going to be able to find that knock. Alliance want to execute off of this because they wanted to get that survey beacon originally, and VK Gaming are still feeling the pressure. Not only losing out on that player originally, but JD Gaming being around them too. So they just hit the side. They don't want to take the risk because they're also one of the very few teams not rocking out on that altar, so not having a TP reset.
The moment Unlucky scans that survey beacon, he's going to see VKG and JDG. Yanya finally gets the shield back on. To the high ground we go.
Yanya.
Diverting away from Knuckle Cluster.
Hear
me out. There is something so sweet and nostalgic about the Pathfinder picks that have been coming through in our group series this week, Vicky.
Ó, VK Game lá no fundo do mapa, esperando pra respawnar o aliado. Alguém daqui não caiu, mano? Por que só tem 2 ali? Ah, não, tem 3. Eles são colados.
Zeddy actually in some trouble. It looks like they lost out on their Valkyrie here, but it's a lot of these teams now. Kinotrop also making the rotate. JD Gaming coming out of Stadium. They will be gate-kept by Alliance, but it's a pile-up. Trinity, Zeta, while AGG are also looking ahead, and Shipyard Arcade has not let loose. Elite are trying to inch closer to that zone, and NIP are pressuring them out. Taking onto the high ground, though, and finding the
Calma, kinda.
In a really good position to keep on the pressure, especially when he's on the Sparrow.
And they have to invest the cat wall to disengage. It's smart, but Vayne on the altar could make a powerful play here. You have to keep an eye, though. With Sparrow's ultimate available in the hands of Kinda, he could do some damage. For now, they send just a bit back.
That's what does get knocked in the feed too, by the way. So it's going to be the little send-off while Elite actually managed to get away from Shipyard Arcade. They're going to be looking down at NIP on the other side of that zip. AGG, though, holding onto the height themselves and are hogging this Evo Harvester all to themselves because DCG say, Hasta La Vista, we're going back over to Street Market. You could have all of that. And now AG will be able to move up towards Viaduct if they haven't scanned Survey Beacon already, but they will be rotating into that next zone. Probably from draft point side too, because there is that ring console if they haven't gotten it too. So a lot of these teams with GG, we mentioned Luca who just got res, trying to fight for his life, gets a next knock.
Shield swap.
Calma.
He prioritizes the shield swap and he's looking to try to get the res, but not gonna let that happen. Not for free, as Gaming Gladiators get eliminated, the first team to go out in our last game.
Nossa, velho. Gladiators que tava fazendo umas partidas muito boas, foi o primeiro eliminado, mano. Que merda, hein? Mano, é muito... O jogo é muito... O jogo é muito volátil, né, mano?
I like the stakes too. While AGG now move up. They're actually lingering behind the one player of NIP. They have to look behind. Shipyard Arcade is about to get hot because AG are prioring their rotate. They're going through Old Town. They heard the fight from NIP Elite, but this fight has been lasting so long, Tiff.
Oh, JDG now on the hunt, floating, gets clipped. Shubi and Stay Naughty.
Os caras querem pegar os campeões, mano. Nossa, Moyashi, mano.
Getting a little bit of revenge here as KNC get eliminated. Your game 5 winners are now out.
Eliminaram Aquino,
This
velho.
last game now moving up here comes the 3P though, and they got the knock originally at the hands of Strafing Play.
É isso que eu falo, mano. É bizarro porque os caras ganharam a última e já saíram já, velho.
They at least were able to get 1 KP in this year too. share that with 2KB in general for the rest of the team, but this is what you'd like to see from RRQ, a team that has been struggling all day long.
All they wanted was a smart fight. They were like, there's a timing that we can push onto this fight, a little third party. But for now, we look back towards the map, we see the circle pull, and yeah, this one's gonna hurt a bit. Because GK looked like they were committing to a solid portion of where that could pull. Instead, it popped straight onto For Fun. Now, talking about explosive games that change the fate of teams, I'm looking at Team Nemesis, who are the furthest south. They have their back clear. The big question is, will Elite Esports decide to clear out the south and rotate and get control
Vai.
of that?
E a Elite vai fazer exatamente isso, mano. Vai rotacionar e pegar eles por trás.
It's the fact that you can't even get your KP. Speaking of RRQ.
Ei, olha a DCG de novo, mano.
Alter is crazy. Remember when we used to put down 2 portal nexuses, by the way? Anyways, that would cover 2 POIs. Thankfully, we do not have that anymore. Still so strong here, and that's why seeing the domination on this final game on E-District is something else. Deny this KP, deny these points from the teams who desperately need it the most. DCG now, looking ahead, it's going to be Trinity, who are also still trying to claw their
Eles
way.
vão pegar o... Mano, eles vão pegar o Nemesis por trás? Não, o Nemesis já viu, já.
The crowd by crowd. GG already eliminated, but I know Charlotte's still giving them their energy, considering that GG have really gotten the points that they need to be safe. Depends on how they do tomorrow, but they're looking very good in the top 5 in the overall standings. Elite kinda now moving up. Another team who has been farming within this lobby, but a lot of these split fights. It's a really big pileup though over by Labs, because really in Old Town, Elite aren't gonna be trying to send it onto Team Nemesis.
Tá, Elite pegou o spot do Nemesis.
Are just gonna sit down
Que
over
tiveram que
the edge of this
abandonar.
side of zone. We can really look at what's happening on Humbert Labs, where For Fun, Reject, and AG are currently trying to situate themselves in that building. Zeddy even too are hearing and looking at this fight, but not trying to overcommit, because they're not the only ones in the vicinity. It's also going to be Sentinels and GK.
I was really curious what Team Nemesis was going to do when Elite showed their presence, and they moved up the building. For JDG, only a few choices remain for them. You have RRQ and GK. If you jump onto RRQ, Alliance will likely full swarm you from the north.
Tá, fortalecer os escudos.
One of the most wild things about this. So set up you do. Ninjas in pajamas, Dark Veil down, PXX on the right.
PXX passou o carro nos ninjas, hein, mano.
We only have one set of piercing spikes, and at this point, we are on the run. And you throw it towards Zeta, who are also going to look at this. Zeta, if we get out of here, Cole, you need to send a thank you card, because Zeta will focus PXX.
A crazy opportunity for that reset earlier too, right? The fact that they're able to come in, you see the side by side. Love to see how PXX are getting these knocks. If I could see here as NIP get eliminated. And now PXX move up to see Zeta Division. They can get 3-peat with DCG. The follow-up here.
Nossa, PX vai pontuar demais aqui, velho. Nossa, mano.
Mike, is he going to be the next victim as he takes the TP back right at his feet? PXX have not let loose. Mike being the last one alive.
The L-Star might be the MVP of group stages at this point, but Satuki, he crawls back. The reset inevitable.
Ei, Zeta tá viva ainda, mano.
To try and take a different angle. Yanya elsewhere in the kill feed.
Oh, Yanya.
Members of TIE. TIE has been eliminated as we go for a reset here with
a Tia foi eliminada, mano.
I'm hearing a Deathbox res. Oh, he breaks it. That's crazy. TIE do get eliminated. You mentioned Yanya before, but they get to keep the dream alive. PXX. Looking ahead and isolated on this choke. The fact that DCG had to focus on getting these reses, Zeta Division doing the same thing off their own Deathbox reses is crazy. This means that PXX now are uncontested on the west side of the zone. Really, it's up to Elite, who will be able to get that information since there's little to no cover off that rotate once the zone starts closing in behind PXX.
2 kills on the board for JDG. It's crazy what happens when you actually get to play the game and you're not resetting full 3 times in an E-District game. Zeta, on the other hand, gets a full reset, drops the evac, but keep your eyes on Yuka, because PXX does not want to let them go.
Caralho.
Absolutely not, and especially when Yuka's literally one shot. Where can you land? Where can we go? It's the Hail Mary dive to find some space. They situate themselves on the bottom side of this bridge, but now still having to move up Zeta Division. On the outskirts.
Olha a Trinity do lado.
Harass them. It forces out the portal play to get out of trouble. Trinity right behind him. PXX now move up hide behind the fence line while Blinker is popping off. DCG going down at the hands of Sentinels.
Pega Trinity, pega Trinity.
14 squads now left, and this
Trinity morreu. GK morreu também. Puta que pariu, viado. JD Game foi eliminada.
The fight for God spot is also occurring. Alliance taking shots at Team Nemesis. Elite Esports wanted to get involved but disengaged.
Como é que a GK morreu e a JDG também, mano?
Their sights on Zeta and are not letting it go. We have just under a minute.
Guys, a Firefan acabou com a GK, velho.
It's so hard with that pile. We talked about the coexisting. AGG are looking at PXX2, not be able to get away.
Elite versus Alliance.
For free because they also will harass them. Zeta may actually help them out if RRQ do not stop them. So it's just revealed an Alliance down to a duo, but they stayed alive for this long. 24 total points throughout the course of
Calma que é só vocês dois, mano. Vocês vão ter que esperar o reset.
Crazy. They're trying to crawl their way out. Especially sitting in that 13th place spot. We know that they could do better. Being the fact that you also have to worry about RRQs on that northern side next to Sentinels is something else, because RRQ are starting to wake up now.
I'm scared with the Valks in the lobby that are going to likely look to Valkylt at the end into the south to avoid rotating through the middle of the map. RRQ, you can see them going towards the high ground. They're going to yeet their way south over Reject, over For Fun. AG Global, see ya. Where do we set our landing course? Is it on to Team Nemesis? Because if we drop on Team Nemesis, Alliance will full send.
Getting tracked by the Sparrow Arrow, though. Having to be careful with Team Nemesis now. Hearing that RRQ have landed right at their feet. A team that has struggled today, has 4 KP in this last game. But with AG also looking at them, you see Elite. RRQ now have to reposition so that way you do not get
hit. Matou.
They're going to be in the line of sight of Sentinels.
Mano, a Elite tá matando os caras. A G Global caiu. PXX foi eliminado também.
Up some kills, and Sentinels and Zeddy with the ultimate face-off. The amped covers.
Mano, RRQ vai cair também, velho. RRQ foi eliminada.
All up as well, but the infinite ammo in the hands of Blinker with that L-Star could really change the tide.
Zeta Division foi eliminada.
They got some KP in their pockets. It's 5 KP. A little too late while Sentinels uncontested. Zeddy 2.
Nossa, a Alliance caiu, guys.
Nemesis, though, have completely held that. So
Alliance
get eliminated at the hands of Blinker. We talked about Sentinels before. We talked about the pileup over on the northern side of Labs with Nemesis having an isolated fight against Elite. All the stakes, though, on the 14 pileup that we're seeing on the northern side of Labs. We know Elite. They've been doing great. It's really Nemesis that needs this the most, as they've lost out on light if you're looking at Elite. Henchman waiting for them to take that TP, but Albert Lily stays alive after losing out on a shield.
This is everything for Nemesis. A banger game here in the final game of
mano, Nemesis tá jogando bem, mano.
Day of groups could really keep them in this tournament. Elite are practically safe. Great job. They've got north of 70 points in this series.
Elite tá viva ainda.
Nemesis need this.
Oh, now swinging though.
Ai, mano, por que Nemesis botou a cara, velho?
Gonna have his teammates trying to cover him here. They're gonna have to move up with kind of getting that knock onto Albert Lily. That's the advantage that they need. But I mean, be careful. Reject with the 3P. Talk about a timing. They even have the Evil Shields reset. You hear the pings. They don't have the TP through the wall, so that's the biggest difference.
Fudeu, mano. Fudeu que Reject tá ali também, mano.
But now looking at the far away, it's gonna be Sentinels who have been farming
que isso?
Trying to get the portal reset too, and they're going to be able to play it right underneath Rejects.
Oh, and Elite have moved in onto Nemesis. They're doing what they can. Light is down, Henchman's 5 HP. And there's so many teams trying to make it happen, and it's Skittle and Sacred alive, going for the death box recovery to get to a team of 3 as we lose out on Elite.
5 squads left. Nemesis gets the death box res, and Zeddy's in trouble. They have no Evil Shields. Dupe clinging on for dear life with a pixel of health before getting knocked, because Sheila has something else to say. Jelly goes for a Hail Mary, last ditch attempt to take to the skies.
Tá, Nemesis matou a Sentinels.
Stay alive, the mother load from Sacred. 5 squads left still. It's a face-off. Zeddy
a Fan vai acabar com a Sentinels, mano.
Sentinels 2 only down to Blinker, and RC is just looking at all the action with Nemesis. The rooftop to their heads.
Blinker holding it
Nossa,
down
tá muito trocado, guys.
Just a boy in an infinite ammo L-Star against For Fun.
Calma.
And here comes the swing, and we go into the void, prolong straight through Reject, and now they bait him. Reject's looking at For Fun.
Oh my gosh, Team Nemesis can do it. Team Nemesis
Que Nemesis, mano.
He goes down over to the other side, but Team Nemesis now looking at Reject, who are splitting their attention against For Fun. They get the knock off the mother load with these final 3 squads, and they can't get the res.
Fudeu. Reject.
Final 2. Reject are looking down, and Reject take the win.
Caralho, véi, a Reject ganhou, viado.
Reject, who can not only say they have 1 win on E-District.
Caralho, mano.
It was 14 kills earlier today, and you know what? It's almost double digits here in Game 6. 9 kills and a dub. 21 points.
A mãe do moleque vai chorar pro resto do dia agora, velho. Olha lá, para, velho. A mãe do moleque chorando um monte, mano. Vai chorar infinito agora, velho. Não é possível, mano. Cadê? Bota a câmera lá. Olha lá.
Behind a Newcastle wall against a building. You have Sentinels.
Não acredito, mano.
Blinkser, who absolutely baits you with For Fun, dropping them off at Reject's doorstep. Nemesis recognized this and tried to go outside. Reject earned that.
And with the baby comps, the crowd cheering from right behind us. The fact that they dropped as an entire team 6k damage in that last game is insane.
Mano, não sei se ela tá chorando, se ela tá
no
feliz.
reset necessary with the majority of this lobby playing alter. It's just again showcases how consistent.
Gladiator está de boa.
Farufa's gotten what 11 KP over the course of
today.
7.1k damage in the last 6 games. Axis right behind him with 11 KP themselves. 6.8k. Reese
Nemesis está triste, velho.
Trying to help support these 2 amazing players.
Vambora, guys, vambora.
Acontece. I just want to shout out Nemesis while we had him on the screen there, because that last game shot them from the thralls of the bottom of the leaderboard into top 5. And you talk about a team that knows they need to change their fate, holding down as we look back at it. This is where Sentinels basically is at the feet of Reject.
Mano, olha como é que tava, velho. Olha isso, mano. Chorando de felicidade, provável. É a mãe do Midori. Mano, chorando um monte, mano. Velho, olha isso aqui, velho. Era um cara vivo com 2 caídos. Um cara vivo com 2 caídos aqui. E tinha 2 caras aqui e um morto já, velho. Não, aqui... Gostei. Olha isso, mano. Ó. For Fun caiu pro Reject aqui.
Behind 2 purple knockdown shields. Reese throws the mobile shield, leaves Axis and Arufa up on the high ground. They don't split individually. They leave 2 and 1. They clean up the lobby.
Tá feliz.
It is just the power positioning.
A mãe tá feliz, mano.
Your point on Nemesis too, I think it's important to talk about the young, talented player that is Sacred, because in that one game alone, he dropped almost 3k damage
a mãe dele tá feliz,
with 5 KP. The fact that he was able to do that.
Imagina chegar pra sua mãe e falar: ô mãe, vamos lá pra Paris? Vou te levar lá pra Paris pra você assistir eu jogando, mano. Reject win. Olha, essa acredita, mano, no time.
36, 35th overall now, going on to 27th in the overall standings. That is what one game could do and how tight those scoreboards are looking.
We said it when we came up here, and it is literally the power of one explosive game, but Reject have earned this. 58 points on that leaderboard, but guys, we're gonna send it down to the stage. We got Kinda waiting.
É vergonha, guys, é vergonha só. Não, ela tá chorando mesmo. Puta merda, velho.
I've got Kinda next to me from Elite Esports. Kinda, you boys are absolutely frying. You guys are playing so incredibly well. One thing I want to touch on, Graceful, one of our analysts and beloved pro player as well. Graceful, he likes to emphasize the fact that consistency is probably the most important thing when you're stepping out onto a stage like this. You guys have 6 top 5 finishers over the last 2 days.
6
it feel
top
to hear
top
Well, I didn't even know
5.
that, honestly. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with our performance overall. We've
Tô
been
bem feliz com a nossa
pretty disciplined
performance,
on our games.
com a disciplina que a gente tem nos jogos, com a consistência.
Shout out to Graceful, my guy, my G. But yeah, just pretty happy with our
Agradecendo o
team.
coach, agradecendo o time, tá bem feliz com o
Gotta keep
time.
it going, you know?
E eles têm que continuar indo,
Even in
mano.
the conversation for being, you know, one of the top fraggers for quite some time now, but you've only really made it to a LAN finals once in your career at this point. So, do you feel like this is the team that can push
Você chegou na final na sua carreira e nesse ponto você acha que esse é o time que vai te fazer chegar na final? Esse é o time que vai despertou seu potencial? Então bem confiante que a gente vai chegar na final e a gente vai ganhar. E nosso coach é o cara. Ele passa as boas energias. E esse é o melhor time que eu já tive. E a gente vai ganhar tudo. Caralho! O que ele tá fazendo pra ajudar vocês a competir no alto nível? Qual que é a diferença?
Hench and me have been competing now for 2 years. We've been playing since EWC. The first one.
É nosso segundo ano jogando.
So me and him are pretty, you know, we have good vibes. We know each other for a long time. So
eles se conhecem há muito tempo e tem uma vibe muito boa entre eles.
Has been with us for over 8 months, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more, maybe less. Who knows? But yeah, always happy to be around. Like he's an insane IGL. Just good guy. Yeah.
You guys just seem like you're positive vibes. I mean, I think that stepping out onto this stage, it can be quite intimidating. Obviously, the final day of groups is tomorrow, and then everything resets for Saturday.
A final de grupos é amanhã. Como é que você vai resetar?
Let's not jinx it. I don't know. I'm gonna try and like cross my fingers. But at this point, how are you guys staying positive, staying motivated?
Como é que vocês continuam motivados antes de entrar no estádio? Porque esse estádio aqui é gigante e pode ser bastante
this tournament I'm feeling pretty consistent, even though I changed my controller the first day I started playing. I changed my controller. Don't know why. Don't ask me why. But I was feeling pretty good, so I just did it.
Eu troquei meu controle no primeiro dia de jogo e eu acho que isso que tá me dando sorte.
But yeah, just Michael just being the GOAT, always keeping us motivated.
Mas o Michael é quem sempre motiva a gente, que mantém nosso mental em dia, velho. E isso que tá nos trazendo sucesso. Nice, mano.
In the lobby, so you've absolutely steamrolled everyone. How does that feel?
Well, it feels amazing, of course. I've been shooting pretty good, getting a lot of kills, getting a lot of damage.
Eu tô atirando muito bem, tô dando muito dano, tô pegando muita kill. Estão pegando bons spots e tô fazendo meu trabalho. E tô me mantendo firme e indo pra frente. É isso.
We can't wait to see what you and the boys bring on day number 3 of the group stage. But for now, we're going to send it over to Rain Day because he's got the big guy. He's got Hackus with him.
Caralho.
The jubilation of youth. Shoot straight. If only it was that simple. Hockey's a man who knows that it is much more complicated than just shooting straight. Obviously, kind of a different tone over here. It was a long interview. I could tell you were kind of fidgeting around. You want to get back out there and prove
tom diferente de entrevista.
What's going on in your head?
Vocês jogavam melhor, o que aconteceu?
We were one of the best teams from scrims coming into the tournament, but right now we're obviously not getting the ball rolling.
A gente foi o melhor time das screens, mas só que agora não tá rolando. Viemos de um grupo dominante. E dominamos a final, mas
a writer, and you have driven the narrative of EMEA, and not only that, Apex Legends for many years. No one doubts that. You have a huge fan base that is supporting you for a reason. However, you're right, the ball hasn't gotten rolling today. If you could attribute to what that is outside of scrims in these lobbies,
as coisas não aconteceram como aconteceu. O que mudou da scrim pro lobby de hoje?
I mean, it's been some hard games, to be fair. Like
eu acho que foram jogos muito difíceis.
So it's like we're playing the hard game and we're just not playing good enough to make up for it.
E não jogamos muito bem com isso. Foi bem difícil, o meta tá bem difícil.
Yeah, obviously those zone
Tudo pelo
pulls
fato
have
de ser
not
jogo
been in your
difícil
favor.
mesmo.
We talked a little bit about that before the interview, and that can be tough. But how do you keep the mental strong in a moment like
Como
that?
manter o
You know things
mental
aren't necessarily
nesse
going your
momento
way,
que vocês estão
you're
indo
not
mal?
playing your best, so you would love maybe the ball to bounce your way to help you get going. But
O
you
que
can't.
faz vocês
So this is a
continuarem a jogar?
tournament. You've been here before. How do you get the guys going? How do you get yourself prepared in the night so that tomorrow morning
Como
you're
vocês
ready
se
to come and show
preparam à
up?
noite pro dia seguinte?
I'm just gonna believe in ourselves, you know. Like I said, we were one of the
Acreditamos
best teams in scrims
em
coming into the
nós.
tournament. We just gotta believe that we see a lot of that and just show up on the day.
Acreditamos no nosso treino e aparecemos no dia, mano.
You've tasted what that prize pool feels like to enter not only your bank account but to be a part of your resume. That is a special thing. I have nothing but confidence that you can find a way to get there. However, if you were to say one thing about your team, what needs to change?
Se você pudesse dizer alguma coisa que você mudaria no seu time, o que você diria agora?
I mean, it's hard to say. Just gotta show up and kill everything.
É difícil dizer, mas aparecer e matar todo mundo, mano. Vambora.
Congratulations to everybody in this lobby. Obviously, kind of feeling great. Aki saying we got more to prove. We'll find out.
Nice,
so much
nice
more
entrevista,
ALGS to happen because tomorrow it's our final day of groups. We just got a little bit more of the show right now. We're gonna go to a quick break. We'll be right back.
Vamos para um livre intervalo e voltamos já. É, guys. Porra. Nice, mano. Nice, nice. Nice. Começando a propagandazinha agora. Ai, ai, que jogo, hein? Que jogo, hein, galera? Cê é louco, mano. Não, mano, tipo, você não consegue acertar quem que vai ganhar a partida. Bizarro. Não consegue acertar. Não consegue acertar. Bora ver como é que tá a tabela agora.
I mean, we just heard from Hackee's two snipe, and you could tell too, like the body language. Have you been in that position before where Hackee's currently is?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Throughout my elongated career, there's been multiple moments where, you know, you feel beaten down, you feel like you're out. But like I said, if he's talked about it, they prepared, they put in the work. They were one of the top teams going into scrim. So just stick to what you learn, stick to what you practice, and come out tomorrow with that motivation. And just because they won tournaments, you know, doesn't make it easy. It doesn't mean it's given. You know, what's the phrase? Everything is earned, nothing is given. I think that's going to stand strong for them. But I do think that if any team has the ability to bounce back from something like this, it is going to be.
Eu acho que eles só estavam abalados, guys.
Eu
acho que eles conseguem voltar, tá ligado?
After, you know, the mediocre performances, a lot of people just want to get back to the hotel. They want to just, you know, relax and hopefully prepare for tomorrow. So very, very awesome that he steps up like that.
I mean, a real professional out, like inside and outside of the game, really pushing it for us to say, hey, we had a rough day. But the most important part is, as you said as well, sometimes that thought creeps into your mind whether or not you're prepared enough for the tournament. He knows you're prepared enough. He's been performing.
Estamos preparados, eles sabem que estão preparados.
And he says himself, like, we prepared.
Eles têm que acreditar neles mesmos.
Maybe the new day is today.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've watched these teams before. You know, we're talking about NIP and their sort of comeback here. I was even going to say, you know, VK Gaming and their sort of comeback. I mean, he's still got tomorrow. You know, he's still got tomorrow. And yeah, have to hard agree with you guys. Like this team can do it. If anyone in those sort of bottom brackets, it's Alliance.
And if you're in one of those situations that Alliance currently is, right, coming into tomorrow, what are you expecting out of the first 3 games of this series?
I mean, it's going to be really hard because already now we were, you know, me and Snipe was already talking about numbers as well. I already said it. I think the cutoff is going to be 60 plus minus 5. I always like to do the plus minus 5 because you don't know how top or bottom heavy it is. And the teams that are right now in the relegation essentially are just looking to say, hey, we need to put scores on the board because last day still 60 points is quite a lot. If you need to put it all in one day, it's a lot. But if you divide it by 3 days, it's not that bad. But hey, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, averaging
vai ser muito difícil para os caras sair da área de eliminação, velho. Porque os outros times acumularam muitos pontos. Olha isso, guys. Mano, a Elite terminou com 73 pontos, mano.
Completely different environment when you're here at these majors with so much on at stake. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back if they're a little more desperate than some of these other teams based on that type of fact. So it'll be curious to follow them along tomorrow.
I mean, also here, #1 for the leaderboard for A versus C. Really big shout out to Kinda for also shouting me out. He definitely is my boy. Always loved having him around.
So you're MVP
nice
right
guy.
now?
Yeah, he is my MVP. Honestly, it's between him and Henchman, and I can't give enough kudos to Light for performing as Nigel, especially with the compared to the top current IGLs. If you make a top 10 leaderboard, his time invested into the game, they are way more experienced, and he's putting out these crazy amount of results. So really proud of him.
And Lace, we're currently looking here at the series results for today between groups A versus C. You can see VK Gaming there in 32nd place. SETI Esports was looking to have a much better performance, but in 8th place, honestly, I feel like that's good enough for them to position themselves to make it to the directly to the grand finals tomorrow.
Yes, I mean, they're very much in contention for that, you know, it's something that, you know, if they can keep that consistency.
E a Alliance não tá longe, velho, não tá longe, mas pô, de 27 para 73, tá louco, 50 pontos, velho.
Lower bracket, you know, here, Ninjas in Pajamas, Alliance, you know, they may sort of like push them out of their limits, so even though they're sitting in that top 10 spot, they still need to keep their wits about them because there are some
Mano, eles têm que encontrar o jogo deles aqui, tá ligado? Estão muito pra trás, velho. Mas a média continua 30. Quanto é pra ser eliminado? Não, mas pra ser eliminado, Lucas, você tem que ser, tipo, mano, fundo da tabela, tá ligado? Então, tinha mais uma página. Tipo, amanhã, mano, amanhã acabou. Se os times que estão ali no fundo da tabela não conseguirem marcar ponto, velho, esquece. Porque essa tabela é do grupo A e do grupo C. Nunca fomos tão grandes, até com o stream. Salve, Chico! Como é que você tá? Deixa eu botar o chat aqui, guys. É, com o stream, filho. Chama. E, mano, tipo, essa é a tabela do grupo A e do grupo C. Aí tem a tabela do grupo B e do grupo D ainda, mano. Aí tem a tabela final de tudo, tá ligado? Que tem a Team Liquid, tem a Elite, tem a Gladiators agora também.
Yeah, so we got to keep an eye on that middle section for sure. Like this is something that's make or break, and you know I did want to sort of.
Eu quero ver. A tabela real, tá ligado? Porque amanhã, mano, amanhã vai ser mata-mata de um nível.
I'm hoping it's not going to be JDG. I mean, that's one team
that... favorites? Yeah.
No. My favorites are currently towards the top. I'm not going to say who it is. Yeah, stay tuned for that one. We'll find out. I'll let you guys know.
Whoever gets the most money is the
one. Pô, pior que eu tô bem em cima do caster aqui, né, velho? Vou deixar a câmera rápido.
That's the one I was going to go with. Whoever takes home those 600.
O cara tá parecendo o Michael Wazowski, velho.
By the way, just keep in mind, once we're done with this, we will have the official ECW opening ceremony. So stay tuned for that. There's going to be some amazing performance. I can't wait to see what Esports World Cup has been cooking up for that opening ceremony, because I know last year it was pretty awesome. There you go. Now you have that countdown right there.
Vai ter cerimônia de abertura do quê, mano?
Right here. Out of everything that we have seen so far in this last 2 days, is there anything that has surprised you in a good way? Is there anything that has surprised you in a bad way?
Cerimônia de abertura,
I mean, even Barney just mentioned it too. We talk about consistency. That's something that you were talking about even from the beginning of day 1 of groups.
I mean, for me, it's probably the fact that the consistency, despite the meta being so aggressive and like crazy with Seer and Crypto.
I was going to say terrible when you said Seer, but that's...
I mean, yeah, I mean, crazy.
Use nicer words.
You could call it insane, yes.
Insanity.
even then, you know, I feel like it's people have been showing consistency. I mean, look at Elite Esports, even Team Liquid as well, and you know, so many, GD as well, so many teams are showing consistency despite this chaotic meta. And we haven't even seen that many Axels. We saw a glimpse of Axels.
Mano, eu vou ter que desligar a live por causa da cerimônia de abertura, velho. Porque senão eu não vou poder pegar o VOD da live. Aí é foda.
In this series, and was that something that we were kind of expecting coming in here at EWC, or are you actually surprised by it, Snipe?
I mean, I'm surprised a little bit by it. I think that last series specifically, it just goes to show us that there are certain teams that are really on fire. You know, you had Zeta in day 1 that came back, or yeah, I believe it was Zeta won 2 in a row, and then you had...
Mano, a volta da Zera foi pica mesmo.
Yeah, SAUL the other
Abertura depois de 3 horas de live. Não, é que tem várias aberturas, né? Tipo, são as aberturas do estádio, eu acho. Porque tem, tipo, vários estádios de jogos, aí eles fazem uma aberturazinha pra cada, se não me engano. Tipo, teve essa cerimônia de abertura aqui agora, aí teve uma cerimônia de abertura semana passada?
Start the series strong and end the series strong is something we actually haven't seen as much. Usually, some teams start strong, finish weak. We've seen that.
Não, acho que essa é a única. Não, teve uma outra, velho. Onde é que tá agora?
But a lot of these teams, it's interesting with the bans and everything because when you have the ability to work with every character.
Mano, teve uma outra cerimônia de abertura. Mas é isso, vai ter uma cerimônia de abertura agora. Faz react? Vou fazer então.
Well, let's talk about the game 3 winner of this series, right? NIP. I kind of briefed that in a little bit, but I kind of want to deep dive a little bit more with it because this squad,
mano, é que eu queria.
With the Lions too, they're currently there.
Eu queria o VOD do Apex só, tá
is
ligado?
not within the cusp of elimination. But one team that is going to be NIP as well.
Deixa eu ler aqui no Discord.
Right there, 138. We'll actually go
Qual
back
que é o BO de streamar a abertura lá?
AG Global. I mean,
ó, essa aqui é o bagulho de grupo, mano. Moleque, olha a Elite, como é que tá. 138 pontos, mano.
Their skills, even though they have consistently performed over all the years as well, I would say. But now nobody can doubt them. They were actually popping off and hunting people down. Even got a cheeky
Nossa,
reset as
moleque.
well. They've been
O
super
top
good.
10 tá pegadíssimo, mano. Pegadíssimo, velho. E olha que a Global nem jogou muito, mano. A Global jogou muito mal essas partidas de agora. Mas os caras subiram pra caralho, velho. Mano, consistência aqui é muito mais importante que ganhar as partidas, velho. A Elite só tá top 1, mano, porque, mano, o Light e o Kinda destruindo os caras, velho.
Or rotated through the same amount of players multiple times. So it's awesome to see a team that has so much tenure together succeeding.
Yeah, no, if we even look at like RRQ, you know, I've been harping on about them too, you know, an excellent performance in our first sort of group stages today.
Olha lá, a Dinos. Mano, eu gostei da Dinos também pra torcer pra eles, tá ligado? Tipo, eles são maneirinhos, velho.
We move a little bit further down here, and you know who snuck up? VK Gaming has snuck up. I think it's about 12 placements, just from like today's performance. I think coming out of match 5, there was this situation, Kino Troop. You know, they probably weren't going to win it in the position that they were in match 5. You know, they did have like that sort of team swing on the back.
A VK que foi a última campeã aqui do Apex.
Mano, they've moved a lot today.
Não tá performando.
You had some actual questions in regards to one team that we're currently seeing on the screen, and it's none other than GK Esports in 20th place. You thought that the performance was going to be going down, and honestly, Snipe Down, you predicted that to a T.
Yeah, honestly,
e a GK ali, mano, tá sofrendo pra continuar na posição 20, mano.
Come out and dominate a lobby and be a team that, you know, wins a lobby by 20 points. They're not going to do what we just saw in that last lobby.
Nossa, galera.
But they're consistent.
Fundo de tabela tá triste, hein?
Their consistency, they need a good amount of points going into tomorrow, and I don't know if they have the firepower around their team because everyone on that roster is relatively passive. You have Noct, who is actually the kill leader for that team in Pro League, and Noct is one of the more reserved controller players overall. So I think that's something that they might need to figure out going into tomorrow. Those placement points weren't really coming.
Fundo de tabela tá triste. Guys, eu vou ir no banheiro, aproveitar aí enquanto não começa a cerimônia. Já volto.
Well, let's take a look at that last page because that's the one that we're going to have to worry for some of those squads. I mean, we've been talking about it for a minute, right? Alliance, they were able to get themselves out of it. Ninja and Pyjamas currently in 34th place there with those 45. And just keep an eye on how close everything is, Grace, between that 31st place, even earlier too, all the way down to 37th.
I mean, it is close, but it's also, they don't really need that much points. If they can average about 6 points in the series, they should be, you know, realistically make it through and not go home. However, for the teams on the far bottom, especially looking at Dory, Trinity, TLN, Pirates, they're looking to drop. They need a lot of points just in case, and that's also dependent on how the rest of the series goes. But it's doable. Like all of these teams, this is the thing as well. While some teams might look in quotes weaker or they had a bad run, they all made it here. Just making it here alone proves that you're already a part of the top elite. So if they can just regain their focus, who knows what happens. I really hope for the best for them.
If you're currently one of those teams in 38, 39th, and 40th, right? You just mentioned you got a lot more points to make up. What are you going to be looking to do tomorrow? I mean, you're going to definitely have to hope that some of those teams towards the top as well above you don't end up performing well. Are you going to be going a little bit crazy too, maybe trying to hunt somebody else down?
Yeah, I think when it comes to game 1 specifically, I think you play it normal. You try and, you know, get some placement, you try and get some kill points. If that doesn't go well, you need to find fights. You have to start getting the points. And one of the main reasons for that is when we were looking at those point totals, those teams in the bottom 3 are significantly in the bottom 3. They're not like, we're not close. And the real problem along with that is the teams above them, the NIPs and alliances, are some of the best teams that we have to offer here at the ALGS. So you have to jump pretty far up. If we're talking, you know, the mid 60s, looking at getting through, the bar is already higher than it is. We have teams at, what, 47, I think was the current cutoff right now. And it'd be really shocking to not see them move up. So we could see a 70-point cutoff with the point differential that we're already at, since we are pretty top-heavy.
I mean, we might have to see some miracles, but what we're going to be seeing right now is the STC recap for today. In case for some reason you join us late, you forgot to set an alarm, it's okay. We'll let it slide. Make sure you don't miss that tomorrow, okay? Make sure you set a couple more alarms, just like some of us, myself, had to do to wake up today. Because, and just to recap too, I mean, we'll show that gameplay too, but Series 1, we had Falcons, Dinos too. I feel like Dinos was a pleasant surprise too in the first series.
Y'all doubted me. No, it's probably just Graves. No, look, there was no doubt. There was no doubt. But yeah, what a turnaround. This is why I knew, you know, I have faith. I know it's crazy. And I know, you know, these guys break down the points and they're like, you've got to get about this much. But like, I've seen some crazy stuff. And that's kind of what Dinos did. They sort of pulled it out from somewhere. And like we've always talked, you get that momentum and it's just insanity.
It is insanity. I think we're going to be going... Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness. I got a little bit scared there. I thought we were going to be going to the open ceremony right away. But yeah, this is the SDC recap of what happened today. But yeah, Dinos, pleasant surprise. SAUL Esports, I mean, we got a chance to talk to them. They were in good spirits. To Team Liquid. We saw Zero, even though at one point he was getting taunted, Grace, he was able to come back from it, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's been about. You know, I feel like a broken record always saying it, but hey, man, you just gotta pull real, you gotta go real deep in the bag right now to pull out whatever you can.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think tomorrow is going to just be one of those days. It's going to be really fun to follow along with some of these narratives that we have. You know, we already have the Falcons Liquid narrative that we've been following along, and now we have the Alliance there. It'll be curious to see. I mean, Aurora also hasn't done that well.
Middle of the pack, yeah.
It's very interesting to see how neither of Aurora or Alliance have performed to their standards at this event. They're both sitting at that bottom. I think Aurora's in 30th. You have Aurora #1 in the EMEA, then you have Alliance right after, who's in like 35th, and it's really interesting to see, and we'll see if the grass is actually greener on the other side after the end of this.
Exactly. I'm listening. I'm here, guys. I'm present. I'm super excited just to see what goes down tomorrow. But yeah, just to touch on, you know, the insanity that is about to sort of, I guess, portray in these next couple of games. But yeah, it's going to be something that, you know, these teams are going to have to fight still in and amongst those elite squads that are up the top of the leaderboard too. Like, you can't kind of count them out. It's still like the group stages. So they not only have to battle against, you know, not having the points that they want, but then they got to go ahead against these heavy hitters that just want to keep adding to their total.
And you know what? I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Alliance, JDG, NIP. I want you guys to pick one team out of those three that I just mentioned that's not going to make it. That's not even going to make it to Survivor stage. And I'm going to go with you, Grace. Okay, you can take your time.
No, I mean, if I have to pick one, right? I think I love Naughty, and I have competed with Naughty on, you know, when we played on C9 in Stockholm. We got top 10 actually at that point.
Ooh.
It's hard because he went from a role to iGelling now, and everybody, you know, you're on two parts of Reddit at this point. You're either at I trust Naughty will win LAN IGL, or you think he will crash and burn. And I think if he does crash and burn, they'll probably go home tomorrow, unless he has a really refreshing sleep and sleeps on the cold side of the pillow and the aircon doesn't mess up his throat. Then yes, he could stay, but remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be JDG at this point. I mean, if it's going to be any of those, NIP and Alliance have had too much experience in this position to come in and feel any type of way. And I feel like Nadi's one of those players where he either has max confidence or there's a lot of panic and uncertainty in his comms. And I hope that that doesn't come back, because that was an older version of Nadi, and this new version with him and as an IGL has been much more confident. He's always there, ready to fight, make the call, and he doesn't hesitate. But when you're on LAN, that uncertainty when you already come out a little dry is something that we're really gonna have to focus on. I just hope that they do well, because I would love to see more floating. One of the biggest up-and-comers, one of the best players who showed out in all of North America during this last Pro League. So I'd really like to see more of them and more of him specifically. And so I'm pulling for that.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna have to agree as well. Like, it's not down to the skill, it's down to like the mentality, which hard agree, you know, these two professional teams that look. I don't know. I don't feel like I've really seen Alliance in that bottom cusp though. Is this new for them to like sort of be this close down? Because like, you know, usually they're at the top, so it's like, yeah, they got nothing to worry about. But look, yeah, if they have been, then you know they know exactly how to dig themselves out of that hole. And I think Ninjas in Pajamas are gonna do something crazy. I feel it. I'm calling it.
I'm hoping they were starting to today. They were starting to at some point, but don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is going to be B versus C, and then A versus D. We'll find out which teams are going to be going to the finals, which teams are going to be going to Survivor Stage, and which teams are going to be going home. But right now, you at home can actually watch the official EWC 26 Paris opening ceremony.
Tem que ter controle de conteúdo, mano. Mas por favor, igual. Nada pode sair sem realmente checar a coisa. Guys, vamos pra live de abertura?
Their clubs with a shot at earning the ultimate title, the Esports World Cup Club Championship Trophy.
Pior que eu vou ter que mudar as coisas aqui, né, velho?
World Cup,
calma aí.
The most elite competition in the world. Its trophy system is built to match.
Eu vou ter que desligar a live e abrir a live de novo, mano. Pera aí.
Awarded to the one club that
minuto.
rose above the rest and reigned supreme across